It's the World Series of Sim Racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
No contact.
And some contact. Holds on for now. It's Vincent Sora. Colley's going to be able to hold on. 3 wide, 2 wide. Ryan Bird trying to be the hero. He'll door smack once again in the center of the corner. Figure out how to get out of the way. Vinny breaks down. He breaks down across the line. The 15 wins. One last chance. One last opportunity. He's digging. He's climbing. He's right on the bumper. Blocking going to be made. Will there be contact? Here comes Thompson. Check on the outside. We're going to be blocked, defended. Brian Johnson hoping and will win. Here comes Vincent Sword to the inside, but it's not enough. Brian Johnson wins, and it's going to be the 13th trying his best. He'll hold on, or will he cross the line? It's Cedric Hunter by a nose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you coverage of the WSSR Cup Series as Season 9 moves on to race number 5 as the drivers get to tackle what is more traditional on the NASCAR schedule. We head to Michigan International Speedway for race number 5 of the Michigan 200. After coming off of a race last week at Long Beach, got to see Gavin Rogers grab his first win as a rookie in the WSSR Cup Series. But tonight, I think we're going to be seeing a much clearer picture of who are the top dogs to watch out for. We've already seen 3 different winners this season. Your opener winner of Cedric Hunter, then winning 2 times at Legacy, Texas and Martinsville, Vincent Sora, and now the road course ringer of Gavin Rogers. Tonight, going to be a little bit different, close to super speedway racing, but a little bit of tire wear on the side as well. Excited to give you all the coverage again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Justin Malarkey. Justin, it feels like it's been a while. We're ready to get into our own rhythm here, but this racetrack of Michigan should be a good one for the WSSR Cup Series.
Michigan International Speedway cannot think of a better race to get back into that NASCAR type oval like you're mentioning. Multi-grooves definitely here. You'll see drivers probably run the bottom, definitely in the middle, and definitely in the top, which means these drivers are going to have room, Sam. They're going to be able to get out there, be 2, 3 wide, put on a great show for these viewers tonight, and I'm expecting to see a lot of passing, some different tire strategy maybe, some fuel strategy even, with this being a big track. It's going to be a really fun race. Can't wait to check this one out really soon here. Practice is almost over.
Yeah, strategy should be a very big thing to be talking about throughout this race. We look at the history of WSSR running at Michigan. In the past 8 seasons, it's only been ran 3 times. Last season at Legacy, Michigan, a very different configuration on the bumps and surface compared to the current Michigan that we're going to be running here this evening. Last time that they ran on this configuration was all the way back in Season 5, which also was the last time they were in the Gen 7 car. Then the other time that they ran was back in Season 2, and it's been 4 or less cautions in those races. The last 2 races, Justin, though, only 1 caution per race. So if we have only 1 caution, could be in the trend of us having that 1 caution at the stage. And the rest of the field should be excited for the rest of this race because our stage break at lap 20, and that's a very short stage that these drivers will be dealing with.
Oh, lap 20 will come up really quick. And I think lap 20, that's that sweet spot where these tires, it seems like maybe 10, 12 laps in, you're getting some good grip. But by lap 20, you're definitely going to want to get tires. So these drivers will be looking forward to that caution. But you said not too many cautions in some previous races here. That'll be a big difference than in Martinsville there 2 weeks ago when we were saying caution about every 2 or 3 laps. Today, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more longer run. Tire conservation definitely going to be something very important these drivers are going to be having to do all through this race.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago at Martinsville, that historic, most cautions ever thrown race. Then last week at Long Beach, got to see the dominance of Gavin Rogers. And I think here tonight, again, Gavin Rogers on a 3 streak of pole times, getting the pole at Legacy, Texas, Martinsville, and Long Beach, finally grabbing the win, which with that win last week, locked himself into the playoffs if he finishes inside the top 25 in points. And gotta say, Gavin Rogers, he's been looking like one of the faster drivers in the short run. I'm curious if anyone else may be able to steal some quick speed. Also back, who we've missed the last couple of races, Drew Jua is back out on course. I think that's also going to be a main driver of focus here, as every race that Drew Jua showed up for, he has won the stage. I think he's going to try to expect to do the same thing here tonight, as practice is now concluded. We're about to be entering into qualifying, as these drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap. Only 2 laps to do so. And Justin, qualifying, how important do you feel like this could be for the field on setting yourself up here tonight with 40 drivers expected to race here this evening?
Well, I tell you what, I did get to race here Sunday a couple days ago, and I was surprised how much with the recent updates that while the draft is very important, there's times I remember racing here where it seemed more like a mini Daytona Talladega where you couldn't get away. You noticed that in that race, drivers were starting to really get spread out, especially after a pit stop where you really weren't with anyone. And I tell you what, it was nice if you were able to be with someone and have a little bit of that draft on the straightaway to help save some tire getting into the corner and maybe not getting that dirty air if you ran in a different lane. So I think tonight is going to be a pretty unique race with this next gen car. Now, we do have a big field, 40 cars, and that's something we're going to be talking about because it is going to be hard for them to all get spread out with it being such a huge field tonight.
Spread out, as most of the field has been very close on time between one another, as Ken Campbell is going to be one of the first drivers to start lap number 1. We've got about most of the field expected to put qualifying laps here at the same route of going immediately. We have looks to be about 5 to 6 drivers not going to be qualifying immediately. They're going to be waiting, see maybe if this track is going to cool off just slightly before they get rolling. But this first lap could be important. I know I haven't driven this track with this car combo myself. Justin, what do you feel like is the strength? Is it the first lap, or are we looking at the second lap to be your qualifying time?
Well, it looks like right here with Ken Campbell in the 15, he chose to run that high line in turns 3 and 4, and I'm thinking he maybe sacrificed that first lap so he can maximize that speed on the outside line coming down the straightaway here for lap 2 to be his max lap. So we're going to have to kind of check on that and see if guys decide to give up that first lap, run the higher line, get that engine wound up, get the speed out of down the straightaway. But I tell you what, Ken Campbell, that's my pick, Sam, so I'm expecting him to lay down a big lap here tonight.
Very fast driver of Ken Campbell, but he's been trying to figure out some computer as well as household issues. As we look back to the past at Texas, had iRacing and his own equipment issues freezing up on the 15 back at Texas, then had his power outage go out at Martinsville here tonight, hoping for all those issues to be out of the way, as the second laps are being placed down, and it's the 11 of John Forbes, was part of the top fast 5 of practice. Well, he looks to be one of the fastest right now in qualifying, 3/1000ths of a second faster than Tom Sinchek in the 26. As Edward Sherwood Jr. going to be top of the board for the 71. Lucky Ducks expected to be quick here tonight, as across the line is going to be the 4 machine of Justin Forbes. Going to be John Forbes' brother. Again, one of those drivers that's trying to get as much experience in. And the 4 machine, first lap, going to be fast enough for 33rd position. Another driver to watch out for could be this 06 machine of Tom Bourne. Tom Bourne hoping to grab some extra pace for himself on lap number 2. His first lap places himself deep in the field in 30th, but a big surprise, the streak is over. Only 3 in a row, as Gavin Rogers, he'll qualify 4th on the board here tonight.
4th, not going to be able to get that pole, running a 39.464. Like you said, Sam, so close this field. I mean, if you just got a little bit extra, he could have got to the top, but not able to do it. And you see right there, the 06, when he came out of the corner, you saw that little wiggle on him. That's just that little bit of wiggle hurts that speed. As you see, it runs a 39.862. Something we'll definitely be talking about as these tires wear out. The exit of turn 2 will be where I want to keep my eye on. I noticed some drivers getting into the wall when I was racing on Sunday. I'm expecting that might happen here tonight. That exit of turn 2 a little bit sharper than the exit of turn 4.
Fast drivers that known to have speed here at Michigan. They proved it in the past. Steven Stimpian, who's back after missing a couple of races. The 88 will be qualifying 3rd. Larry Yingling, a driver who got the pole all the way back in season 2 when they were running the Gen 6 car, will come up shy in 2nd. But still, the top dog is Edward Sherwood Jr. in the 71 machine. And looks to be the last drivers to qualify are done. Your pull going to be the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr. for himself, as the rest of the drivers that are still out on track getting their practice, getting their qualifying laps in, are now past 2 laps completed. So now it's kind of practice that they're getting for themselves so far, as qualifying's coming to a conclusion. Justin, Michigan, 100 laps here tonight. It's going to be a long race for this field, but only these first 20 laps, like you noted on before, this could be perfect for when those tires start to fade out. This is going to be a fun first stage to watch in our first 20 laps.
It will be, especially if we get one of those mini cautions there to come earlier that kind of changes everything, fuel strategy. People are going to kind of run this race in reverse, because if you could make it one less stop, we know that's always the ticket to get a good finish if you're able to pit less than everyone else. So you might see some drivers trying to top off if there's early cautions, just change their strategy around, especially drivers in the back, knowing that if they could get up there and be in the front, utilize some of that draft, and hopefully be able to block and stay in the top 10. It might be able to change their night around if they didn't get that qualifying run.
40 drivers qualified, and because we're less than 43, all drivers will be able to race here this evening. As we enter into the warm-ups, this gives us time to take a look at our point standing schedules and have our pick'ems at the end. Let's first take a look at our point standings entering here tonight. Again, 3 drivers have won so far, and the driver that is down in 12th, Cedric Hunter's got to be careful. If he falls too far out, again, if you fall outside of the top 25 in points, that win will be negated, and you will not be automatically placed into the playoffs. But currently, it's Vincent Sora, no surprise with his 2 wins, top of the board. Aaron Smith II has been finding some great consistency. He's second currently, but if we look at the bubble, 16th, 17th in points. Bronson Stafford, Shane Terrian teammates from Sky Motorsports. They are the drivers that are at your bubble line, and just out behind them, Brian McCann, Andrew Medlin, also Matt Meir, Danny Cochran. Those are some drivers that we know have some great speed that can find themselves hunting for a playoffs if they can start hitting their marks and find a good streak here.
Oh, and this field being so deep, you're seeing drivers so far down the list on the right side that we know can win. We know they can be up there. We've seen them be fast. It's just such a competitive league. So what are you going to do? You got to do something tonight to be able to get that lead, get that win, and then you lock yourself in, like you said, being the top 25, though, being the most important. And that's hard, though, Sam. With this competitive league, it's not like a cakewalk just to get there in the top 25 either.
It absolutely is not a cakewalk for themselves. As we move away from our point standings, take a look at our schedule so far this season. Again, it is going to be a quick season. These drivers are dealing with only 12 races in the regular season, and we've seen 3 different winners so far, with Cedric Hunter winning at Atlanta, Vincent Sora going for 2 in a row, and then last week at Long Beach, the road course ringer of Gavin Rogers taking the victory dominant fashion for that 75 machine. But we look at how the rest of the schedule is going to go. We got Michigan here tonight. We have Daytona Super Speedway going to ran in 2 weeks, and then we stay at Daytona for the Daytona Road Course doubleheader night. I think that's going to be an interesting evening that you do not want to miss, July 10th for the doubleheader race. Then we head to Dover. Then we head to the old Indianapolis. I think that a lot of drivers are excited to drive on the old Indianapolis course. Chicagoland, Le Mans going to be for race number 11 before we finish out the regular season at Bristol. Strong season that we have in front of us here, Justin.
Oh, I can't wait for July 31st, Chicagoland, my personal favorite track. Love watching any cars on that track. That'll be fabulous. But there's a bunch of races before then that are going to be equally exciting. Like you mentioned, that road course in Daytona, the doubleheader. That will be really fun to watch, seeing these cars get on there, being on the oval and the infield.
As we are now in the final 2 minutes of our warm-up. This is usually our time that we have our pick'ems. Who do we feel like are drivers to watch out for, or could be surprise winners here tonight? And we made these decisions before practice concluded. So let's take a look at who we think might be the drivers to watch out for here this evening. We'll start with my pick. And I went with the driver who, I don't know why, I just thought about this racetrack. I thought about the way he's been driving this season. I'm picking Edward Sherwood Jr., and he shocked me taking the pole time here tonight at 71, looking very quick this evening. He's going to be my pick to watch out for. Justin, who are you feeling like is the driver to watch out for yourself?
Oh, I'm going with the Ken Campbell. I'm excited. We talked to him in the past. I think he's going to do it. I've watched him long enough. I think tonight's going to be his night. You said he's got the computer issues he's got to work on. I remember a race at Pocono they had a lot of speed at, and I know sometimes Pocono speed can carry over to a track like Michigan potentially, so I'm excited for him.
He's got a lot of work to do. Ken Campbell going to be starting 23rd on the grid. As we take a look at our producer's pick, that's Robert Moyer Jr., and he's picking a very strong Michigan driver as well. We've seen him win here at this track, in this car, in past races. It's Steven Stympian, who all came away with the pole back in Season 5, the last time that they ran at this track. And that 88 machine looks to be strong once again here tonight. And for Steven Stympian, starting third here this evening. Strong drivers to watch out for. That's going to be our pick'ems here tonight. Edward Sherwood Jr., Ken Campbell, and Steven Stympian. Now it's time for these drivers to get their last little minutes of kind of calming down, getting ready. 100 laps here at Michigan is what they are getting prepared for, as we will have a stage break again at the end of lap 20. No fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, and we are about to be seeing where they're starting out here tonight. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us here this evening on your Wednesday to watch this amazing racing coverage. 40 drivers expected to take the green as warm-ups is concluding. We are entering into tonight's race and about to be seeing these drivers grid up. Also want to say thank you to Trophy Smack. Head on over to trophysmack.com. We'll give you more details about them. But remember, if you go to the website, use the promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off. Drivers are gridding up in pit road. Let's take a look at where these drivers will be starting off here tonight for race number 5 of the WSSR Season 9 season. Taking the pole first time this season, it's going to be the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr. Second place, we find the 3-time champion of the 67 of Larry Yingling. Starting in third, it's Steven Stympian in the 88. Fourth is John Forbes Jr. in the 11. Tom Sinchak, driver that won this race back in Season 5. He will be starting in 5th place. Maybe the numbers are aligned for himself. Gavin Rogers, winner from last week, will be starting in 6th position. Drew Jua, again, has won every stage that he has shown up to race. Will he get it done here tonight? He starts 7th. Those numbers are aligning as well with the 777. In 8th, it's Brian Johnson. 9th, we find Joshua Kanata. And finish out our top 10, it's second in points driver of Aaron Smith II.
On off P11, Shane Therian. P12, Anthony Gaudio. Ollie Fonseca, 13th. Vincent Sora, 14th, 2-time winner this season. Bronson Stafford, 15th. Zach Hall, 16th. Brian McCann, 17th. Cedric Hunter, 18th. Going 19th, going to be Ryan Kelly, ultra-fast driver. Be great to see him coming through that field. Chris Stiss alongside him in P20th. Nick Crawford, 21st. Trenton Jump, 22nd. Ken Campbell, my pick, 23rd. Danny Cochran in 24th. 25th, Andrew Medlin. And Douglas Newbigging, a driver who really likes this track, Michigan, 26th.
The 27th, we find the 56 machine of Richard Wolsifer. And 28th, it's the 58 of Carl Pooler. There's the teammates from Limitless, going to be next to one another. Then down in 29th, it's the 01 of Matthew Rodriguez. Then in 30th, it's the 53 of Christopher Wade. Then in 31st, it's going to be James Kunkel in the 99. In the 6 machine, it's Brad Delphin, 32nd. Shane Wyatt going to be starting deep in the field in 33rd. Tom Bourne going to be starting in 34th. A poor qualifying attempt for the 06. As in 35th, we find it's a teammate of Tom Bourne. It's Matt Meir in the 72 in that 35th position. Jared Hughes going to be starting in 36th position. And also with Ryan Ferraro, Tyler Dangler, Justin Forbes, and our final driver on the grid going to be Mike Tellier in the 97. 40 drivers expected to take the green here tonight. Jared Hughes expected to run. Missing the grid is the 68 machines. If he does start up, he'll have to start on pit road. So 39 drivers going to be trying their attempts here tonight. But ultimately, I think the field knows it can be a very long night here if we get into a caution-filled race, but also the potential of there being not a lot of cautions is riding high. Justin, any final thoughts before we get ready for tonight's race?
Well, you definitely got to make it to lap 20. Got to still be on track. Can't get in an early incident. Got to give it enough space. Got to remember, race is 100 laps. Don't want those first 20 laps to set you back, and you risk being not in the race because, like you said, 39 drivers taking this race. That's a lot of points. You do not want to give those up. got to make sure you're at this race at the end to get all those max points. With that said, though, it is important to get those stage points too. So if you're in that position, you got to be able to seal the deal and get those stage points.
Also, driver going to be starting in the back. That's going to be Aaron Smith, the second, with an EOL penalty after some unsafe movements made at last week's race at Long Beach. But for tonight, 39 drivers take the grid, and they are ready to get to racing action. Edward Shore Jr. going to be starting on the inside into the restart zone, and the Michigan 200 is underway here for race number 5 of the season for the WSSR Cup Series. Down into turn number 1, the field going to be trying to already make some surges and moves to go 3 wide, and some slight contact being made back for 5th place, but it's all Edward Shore Jr. up front.
Oh, and he'll want to get that clean air here, pull right up outside of turn 2 and able to lead the field down his back straightaway. He's single file, but the rest of the field is still 2 by 2. As we see, it'll probably fan out again and get 3 wide going off into turn 3.
And it's going to be Steven Stampy and John Forbes going to be side by side, 2 wide for 3rd, and then behind in the middle of the field, that gaggle of 3, almost think about 4 wide. Some drivers thinking about using the apron, but up front, it's all the 71, or will it be Sherwood Jr. breaks loose, and Larry Engling will lead lap number 1. We're 3 wide for 2nd place, and it's just one wiggle. We saw it in qualifying, and already shown some weakness for the 71 machine.
And the big thing is he didn't get that lap lead either, so that's not the bonus point he was hoping or expecting to get by starting out front. But he's going to have to settle back in. You just see that slight wiggle coming out of turn, but it costs all that momentum. And the worst part, Sam, not being able to be up against that wall. It didn't have all that drafting help either. They kind of just sailed by him.
If we look at the trends as well, you grab the pole, you usually don't win. There has never been a driver that has gotten the pole to win here at Michigan in the WSSR Cup Series. It's always been you get the pole, you get the worst luck. The driver that usually wins this race leads the most laps. So you want to be that lead driver because you got the most confidence in the world, as Larry Yingling leads another lap for himself. But we look in the middle of the field, some drivers just trying to hold steady for themselves. The middle of the pack is still a mess, as they're still thinking about 3 wide for some, 2 wide, and a hard contact in the wall. That's Mike Tellier with the 97, slamming the wall aggressively. And that was the issue we were kind of talking about, of drivers having some moments for themselves. And there's the 97 just limping his way forward, but he'll fall down to 37.
That was a big moment. That was, we talked about overcorrection a few weeks back. It looked like coming out of the corner, the car started getting loose, and he went to save it and kind of just snapped back into the wall. But you saw the front bumper slide off that car. I mean, it looks like it's back attached there, but a little iRacing glitch there, but it had to be heavy damage. I mean, he's probably going to be there for multiple minutes, and that's not what he wanted to see in his first 20 laps.
Absolutely not. Required damage has been given to the 97, so he was forced to pit road. Brad Delph also starting on pit road. So 39 drivers have hit the track at some point here tonight. Jared Hughes doesn't look like he'll be hitting the course, but up front, still in line, going to be the 67 of Larry Yingling, John Forbes, Steven Stimpian, Gavin Rogers, and Tom Sinchek. Your top 5 currently. Then they're side by side for 6th position, as Mike Tellier will become our first driver calling it a night. The 97 has already left the server. That is so unfortunate, just on lap number 3.
You hate to see that. You put all that work in all week, get excited to race, and only be able to turn a couple miles.
Sorry to cut you off. Trouble on the front stretches. James Kunkel in the 99. He was stopped in the grass on the front stretch, and now finally able to get rolling as the front half of the group. They're going to be just now exiting out of turn number 3, and certainly a bizarre moment for the field, as they were almost catching up to where the 99 was.
Well,
trouble also in front of them. Vincent Sora spins around.
Wow, Vincent Sora, 51, sliding across the front straightaway. I don't think he made any contact, though, Sam. Let's see what happens here. Maybe one of those things he was trying to slide up in front of someone, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. I don't see any major damage. How about you?
Looks to be, we'll wait for the replay to see what fully happened here between the 46 and the 51 in the middle of the corner. Looks like for Trenton Jump, trying to make a move on the outside groove. Vincent Sora tries to push up as both drivers run in their own lanes. It looks like Vincent Sora pushes up, and the inside driver makes contact, and luckily the 51 locks it down, giving plenty of space for the rest of the field.
Wow,
small
he did a
tap.
great job.
That's a big save right there for Vincent Sora, but that was a bizarre moment for both drivers.
Yeah, here, Aaron Smith there coming too is like, please stop for that second. That got a little probably area for those guys right there, but they both did a great job I mean, wow, the 51 though, he did an excellent job not hitting anything. I mean, he was probably headed for that inside wall if he didn't get it saved. He could have been pulling a Mark Martin there back about 10 years ago when he got that inside wall. So great job to him. Hopefully he's able to get in there and get those tires. And this is what we talked about right now. Lap 5. Is anyone going to come in? Doesn't see. I'm not seeing anyone really pull off there, Sam.
Yeah, and I don't think we're expecting a lot of drivers to make that decision. A little bit too early. I think if maybe we were green until lap 9 or 10, might be seeing a little bit more takers. But with how large this field is, it's kind of hard to give up track position if you're inside the top 20, 40. I mean, with having 39 drivers take the green, it's tough to be willing to take that risk unless you're back in last place. And with the field only having 4 sets of tires to work with here tonight, 100 laps, I would believe some of these drivers are really hoping to save a set for maybe later on here tonight.
I agree with you right there. I think that's exactly the reason you don't see anyone pitting. 4 sets of tires, you don't want to use that set right now knowing that another caution is going to come out in lap 13, and you're going to want to take tires then too, because you're not going to want to go out there with 13 lap tires and have the field there with fresh tires right behind you, especially on a big track like this. You'll be getting past pretty quick, I'm assuming, with those multiple grooves they'll be going around you.
Yeah, and tonight, again, stage break at the end of lap 20 for the field, 100 laps in total. Top 10 drivers at the end of the stage will get bonus points. Winner of the stage gets 10 bonus points, 9 bonus points goes to second, and it continues to dwindle down until we get to 10th place, where you only grab 1 bonus point for yourself. Currently looking at the field, biggest mover going to be the 7 machine of Douglas Newbegin in 16th position. He has moved up 10 spots, currently our biggest mover so far. Biggest losers, going to be Aaron Smith II, again, had to start this race with an EOL, did qualify in 10th, and Vincent Sora, who just had his spin. Other drivers that seem to be having an odd start. Edward Shore Jr. having that little bit of a slide off the exit of turn 4. Justin, with us having these pace laps, a little bit of a longer track these drivers are going around, that cool down time. Curious on how that's going to influence these tires, on the fact that it seems like cold tires, the first lap, you are not safe when trying to get onto that throttle.
Yeah, he probably was not enjoying that moment. I mean, you saw what happened with the 51 there. I mean, it could have happened with the 71. Luckily, he didn't make any contact with anyone. But still, it's just very risky. Those tires cool, the track's dusty. And he dropped back. I think he was back at one point. I saw maybe 7th position, and I thought I maybe even saw 8th, but he is right now showing in 6th, so he's able to get a little bit of positions back. But track position being so important, you don't want to ever give anything up, so he's going to be probably fighting hard to try and get those spots back for that next pit stop, but he will have that number 1 pit stall, so we'll see if that comes into play on pit stops.
Also taking a look at our weather conditions for tonight's race in the beginning portions of this run. Air temperature going to be 79 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp 114, and looking at how practice was for these drivers, track temp was around 119 degrees at the end portion of practice. So the field is dealing with the temperature of the track cooling off, but the big thing affecting these drivers could be the wind. It is in a very high, inside of the double digits of 12 miles per hour. Now, it's not fluctuating as much as we've seen before, but staying a consistent 12 miles per hour, if there is any fluctuation, could influence these drivers off the exit of these corners. Space car pulls off. It's time for us to get back to green flag racing. Larry England going to be the lead driver. John Forbes was outside into the restart zone in the Michigan 200 is back underway, and Steven Stympian doesn't want to wait. The 88 is just shoving the 67 forward, and they're already clear for 1 and 2. Tom Sidchek following in suit as well down on the inside.
That's important. He got himself clear, got the leader clear, but getting himself clear was also the most important thing. Doesn't have to worry about anyone being on his outside. Coming out of turn 2, he's able to utilize that draft off to 67 and see if he can make a move coming down here to 3.
Oh my goodness. They are 4 wide, almost 5 wide for a moment in the middle of the field for 15th. They're still going to be 4 wide, battling in the middle of this pack. It's going to be Trent Jump, bounce to the outside groove. They're going to be still 3 wide, almost pushing 4 wide again. Squeeze, pinch, hard contact, Anthony Gaudio. Also, other drivers going to be scattering around between themselves. But oh boy, they're still pushing around, and somehow we stay green. And Anthony Gaudio split the whole field with that move to cut across.
Wow. It ended up being it looked like it was going to be a big accident at one point, but it just ended up being a 29. Really, looks like he did get into another car here.
Here's the replay. And you're going to be seeing the squeeze coming up in front of Trenton Jump into the outside wall, and just gets more contact into Christopher Way, then continues to bounce down. And Most likely something was broken. That hard contact blows the engine, and Anthony Gaudio's night is completely over with that move. But I'm curious if something was broken that forced him to just continue to push down across the field. But then we continue to stay green even with that major scare. It influenced and hurt over 3 different drivers, but we stay green, and up front, still Larry Yingling for himself. Now, you talked about, Justin, the fact that if we got spacing, we could have some green flag racing. Well, I think we got the spacing maybe that was necessary, and now up front, we're seeing some drivers making some big moves as Joshua Kanata, Drew Jua, both have been tagging along with one another, and they are pushing forward, trying to crack the top 3.
They definitely want to get that track position. It looks like right here we got them maybe getting 3 wide to get in that corner. As you see some guys running that low line down the front straight, or are they going to be able to get back up high, getting into that corner? That's really where you see guys get 2-3 wide when they're doing that on the front straightaway. The 71 though, he's trying to get those spots back on the inside, not going to be able to clear coming out of the corner though, and that's the problem. Look, he's going to have the 28 there, pushing to 26, and you kind of don't have that drafting help. If you pull out the pass down, very important to make sure you have someone underneath you.
You also saw there for a quick moment the bump drafting. Drivers are willing to use the bumper on the straightaways, try to assist the driver ahead to get moving forward. But at this time, you see the contact there. Zach Hall, Edward Shore Jr. off the exit of turn 4, rubbing against one another. And we saw that contact that got Vincent Soar spun around. Somehow they keep it together with that move. But I got a feeling here, Justin, we might not have some friendly drivers between one another with the way they are using each other up. Again, just 20 laps, and they are using every little bit of this racetrack right now.
Oh, they're being racy. They know 7 laps to go to that competition caution. They want those points. They're being racy. For you Aaron Smith fans out there, you might be wondering why is he 17, 18 seconds back. I think I caught a yellow car spinning right after Anthony Gaudio hit the inside wall. It kind of flashed at the bottom of the screen. It caught my eye. It was a yellow car. I'm assuming that's got to be Aaron Smith. As you see, this new bigging get some contact there too, able to save it. But I think that's why Aaron Smith's back a little bit. I think he ended up spinning through that infield with Anthony Gaudio. I'm assuming no damage though, as he's continuing about 19 seconds back.
It's just one of those things where drivers are dealing with those issues further on back with that Anthony Gaudio spill and keeping it green. Like we're seeing up front in this lead pack, it is still our top 21 drivers are in this lead pack trying to stay attached. And from 1st to 20th, all within 2 seconds of one another, the side-by-side racing is allowing this great action between each other. And currently, our biggest mover in this group is going to be Richard Wolsifer in the 56. But you're also seeing drivers that maybe didn't qualify that well, such as Tom Bourne in the 06. He's moved up 17 positions. He qualified in 34th. You saw the slide that hurt him in qualifying. He's trying to push forward. You also have Brian McCann, a driver who needs some massive points. Chris Stitz, they're at the tail end of this pack. They may need to make some big moves to push forward as the field continues to race on. He saw maybe a puff of smoke coming off the exit of turn 2. That was James Kunkel having issues for the 99, but we continue to stay green once again as he's just being passed by this whole pack.
A lot of single car type incidents here tonight so far. Almost had that multi-accident wreck there on the front straightaway. A couple guys got damaged, but these guys are putting on a show of incident contact for certain. This track maybe not having the grip they're expecting. It looked like another puff of smoke there. Looked like that black and purple car there maybe got up in the wall. Is that the number 12 there, I'm thinking?
That is Andrew Medlin, who brushes the wall just slightly. It will keep his momentum though, and sometimes you can get away with small little contacts as we have our Andrew Medlin cam now on, and you can see James Kunkel in the 99 still struggling. He's just trying to run each lap possible as the rest of the field will have to move up a groove to get by that 99 machine. But Andrew Medlin, one of those drivers that's trying his best to continue to push forward as he's running around Trenton Jump, Matthew Rodriguez, and these drivers that are further back in the path. This is for 29th and 30th position.
And they're battling hard for 29th and 30th position. Drivers showing that they just want every possible position that they can get. They just want to get by everyone. You see how aggressive these drivers are driving right now, tugging on that steering wheel, trying to get these cars to turn. You got some drafting right here between the 77 and 71, trying to get around the 16.
And they were just 3 wide in this group as John Forbes is trying to make his way forward, currently in 3rd place position and being pressured by Drew Jua behind as well. As also behind this 11 machine, you can see in the mirror, they are trying to utilize the draft to push forward, but also trying to set up some passes as Drew Jewell on the 77 wants to win another stage, but these laps are clicking away quickly. 3 laps to go before the stage yellow will be thrown, and only the top 10 drivers get those bonus points, as right now it's Larry Yingling. Once he took the lead away from Edward Shore Jr., he has not given it away to anyone else as the 11 continues to defend, but expect a pass for the lead to happen here quickly. Steven Stympian sending it down low, trying to run that yellow line, but it's the exit of the corner where the 67 usually has the advantage, but it got a little bit close to that wall. There's a chance for Stympian this next go-around as we have 2 more laps to go before the stage is over.
2 more laps to go, wants to make that move, but the big fear is if he doesn't make that move and he gets stuck down the inside. These guys right here, you see how quick they kind of closed up just from the 88 making that move to the inside of the 67, kind of got those cars side by side and creates that bigger hole in the air. But right here, we're going to be on board, see if he can make a move going into this corner, trying to utilize that draft going off into turn 3.
And now throws it down low once again, and Larry Yangling's running that more preferred second groove right on that seam, and you see that transition to the seam. Both drivers breaking loose just slightly in front of our leaders. They are having trouble right now off the exit of the corner, but we are on the last lap of our stage. Again, top 10 drivers get bonus points. Last driver is Nick Crawford, who's trying to defend a lot of drivers behind him, but there's a little bit of space in between. Top 10 drivers are on top of each other, and it's Larry Yingling who's holding strong up front.
Holding strong, trying to get that stage win. Gonna send it down here into turn 3. He's just gonna try and protect the bottom here. We saw the 88 get down to that white line. You see it again right here, perfect camera view, but the 67's able to get in front of him, kind of shut the door on him. But is the 88? No, you see right there, Sam, he got loose. You can see the car wiggling. I don't think he's gonna be able to do it.
He's going to have another run, throwing it down low. Going to be side by side. They got to wait until 10th place crosses the line. As across the line, it's Larry Yingling, but 10th place crosses just as quickly. And Yingling will hold strong for the stage win. Drew Jewell only able to move up to 3rd place, but Steven Stympian, he got his first practice attempt to try to take that lead spot. Might need a little bit more on this next go around. Thank you so much for joining with us, ladies and gentlemen, as that is your first stage. Your top 10 going to be Larry Yingling in the 67, Steven Stympian in 2nd, Drew Jewell going to be in 3rd. 4th is John Forbes Jr. and Edward Shore Jr., your top 5. Lucky Ducks looks quick. Then the rest of the top 10 getting bonus points. Going to be also seeing Gavin Rogers in 6th, your winner from last week. Joshua Kanata 7th. 8th is Brian P. Johnson. Tom Sinchek 9th, and finishing out our top 10 is going to be the 74 of Nick Crawford. You know, you were given the update of what was going on with Aaron Smith II. Again, big issues for himself, caught up in that Anthony Gaudio issue. Anthony Gaudio has called it a night. Other driver, a big update that fell backwards. Again, was caught up in our first caution back on lap number 5 here tonight. Vincent Sora in the 51, only able to move up to 26th position. He's got a lot of work if he wants to get back inside of our top 10.
He has the time, but as you said, you got to get up there. Maybe right now on pit stops, get in there and try and get a really good stop. You get in that box, really perfect, Sam. Maybe you could gain 2-3 positions. Doesn't sound like much, but it's able to move you up a row or 2, and that's really important. Tries to get you a little closer there to the front.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely important, I think, if you can get a good stop here. Also, could be very important, minimize your mistakes. These drivers, again, only ran 20 laps. But do you have the right brake bias to stop into your box on a dime to get the cleanest stop possible? We'll find out if any mistakes happen as they pull into pit road, being led by the 67 of Larry Yingling. Not expecting any drivers to stay out, but it could be a gutsy call if you're deeper in the field. Maybe stay out, get that bonus point for leading a lap, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Everyone into pit road. Here we go, Justin, trying to make your stops. Don't want to slide through your box as most of these drivers hit their marks, but a few have to back up.
Oh, you do not want to back up. You just lose the time. But this race off pit road will be interesting. The pole sitter right there, he's got the shortest distance likely to go, but he did not go in as the leader. Will he be able to get the spots back? I see guys starting to peel out already. Larry Yingling dropped the jack. He's gone. He's going to stay on the lead. Steven Stympian did a great job. Going to come out 2nd side by side. Should put on a great show for this restart. Look at this 3-4 wide coming off the pit boxes right here. Wow.
And they're making some small contacts between themselves. Great shot there, seeing the drivers exiting out of pit road. And now we get prepared for the race to win here tonight. The stage winner, again, going to be Larry Yingling. We'll see if we can queue up our stage winner, get his thoughts on tonight's race, because a strong start for that 67 as he's having fun with Steven Stimpian. Now we bring up that 67. Larry, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, stage winner, you didn't get the pole, but you got the lead pretty quick. How are you feeling? How's this track feeling right now for the 67 machine?
It was pretty good. 1 and 2 is nice. Can't really say if it's too tight or too loose. And 1 and 2 feels pretty good. Turns 3, and the later it goes in a run, I'm sure it's tires, maybe some wind involved, but it definitely gets random loose center off.
Larry, Justin up here in the booth. Car looks great. That Mustang looks fast. We saw the 88 kind of getting right there to you towards the end of that stage. Yeah, you think how do you feel against him right there on the long run? You think he's got something for you? Or you think you're able to just do what you needed to do there, stay in front of him, and you're able to hold him off if you needed to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he was definitely faster than me at the end. He was running the bottom pretty good. I did it once just to air block him on that last lap, and I don't know.
You did a great job on that.
Yeah, it kind of felt a little tight, but then it got that weird loose, and I'm probably just going to run the second line and see what it gives me.
Sounds like a great call, Larry. Well, we'll let you focus up, send you back to your team. Congratulations again on being the stage winner. Enjoy that, but hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of this race.
Thank you, sir.
As we send Larry Yingling back to his team at Ying Yang Racing. Larry looked quick again, got that lead early after a mistake from Edward Sherwood Jr., our pole sitter. But Edward, great job through pit road, able to gain a few positions for the 71. He'll start in 3rd place as the field is set. No more stage racing from here. It's all about who's going to grab the win here tonight for the WSSR Cup Series, race number 5 here at Michigan. Why not try something new that we haven't done for a while? We're going to see if we can do a little bit of a cranker up here for this restart. Let you have the feel of what it's like to have all 37 of these drivers ready to take the green. Again, it's all about the win. No more stage racing. Entering the Geico restart zone, and we're green. Enjoy the roar as we're back to green flag action. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the Crank It Up here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as the field is set and ready to continue on. As we were under that Crank It Up, Justin and I were talking about it. Fuel could be a question mark. Again, we weren't given the exact number. We were guessing around 30 to 35 laps is going to be the number that we're expecting on the fuel run for these drivers. And Justin, it's going to make the rest of this race interesting because we could have a 1 to a 2 stop race. It matters on whose strategy might be the faster one from here on out.
Oh, if you can run 90% throttle down these straightaways that are super long and utilize that draft of cars in front of you and save that little bit of fuel, roll out of the throttle, getting into the corners, you definitely can save a lap, 2, maybe 3 laps, depending on your style. If you could do that both times, and it could be something where maybe these drivers are starting to think right now. I don't think anyone out front's going to be thinking that. Larry Yingling, he's pushing all that air. He's got that fast car. He's burning that fuel. So I don't think he's going to be thinking about saving fuel. But some of these guys back here, they might be thinking, if we can do it, we might be able to get that win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if there's going to be a driver, though, that's up front that I've got my eye on, Nick Crawford in the 74 might be that driver that can find a way to save fuel. As you see, the 58, that's Carl Puller. That's on the outside, dropping quickly. Got into the outside wall, losing a lot of momentum. Over 6 positions lost just by grazing the wall. A hurting moment for Carl Puller, but he's still in it as we run on board with the 72 of Matt Muir. This is driver's just inside of our top 30. And Matt Muir, a driver that's still trying to learn a lot more. He's been on the iRacing server for the last couple of years and a lot more of a painter, as he is the sole designer and painter for Sky Motorsports' machines as well as Hula Monkeys. And I love the schemes that Matt Muir makes. The driving-wise, Super Speedways is more of his strength. But here tonight, hoping to get a good finish, maybe aiming for a top 20 finish here this evening.
Well, look at that beautiful paint scheme right there you got on him. The 72 Matt Muir Designs. That's a great looking car right there. So is that 01 underneath them. Got 2 nice cars in the shot right there, going down this back straightaway. But you know what? We were riding on board, Sam. Didn't see anyone shifting yet. Didn't really get a chance to talk about that. But as this run goes on, will drivers start will they start going down in the 4th gear, but paying the price of burning more fuel?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing of, is it worth it with the fuel, trying to make some big moves with the fuel saving, or do you just make big moves while out on track, as Vincent Sora is on his march to try to get back into the top 10. The 51 caught up in his spill. Also seeing your pick to watch out for here tonight, Ken Campbell driving around the 51 machine of Vincent Sora. And with these drivers, even this far back, this is just outside of our top 20 where we're seeing this aggressive racing between one another. It's just as chaotic even for the top group right now, as the drivers are side by side almost everywhere on course. 3 wide at moments up front, 3 wide back here in the further on of the pack. But it certainly is fun everywhere you point the camera. Right now, though, as we move back up front to our top 10, a few drivers of note to watch out for. Douglas Newbegin in the 7, in that blue number 7, is making some big moves on the inside on that yellow line. Same for Nick Crawford. Both drivers have been hugging the inside yellow line. And Justin, I think back to other Michigan races in the past and older updates of iRacing, that yellow line was almost a no zone. You avoided it at all costs. This is kind of shocking to see the amount of drivers that are willing to drive this low.
Yeah, it just seems down there, visually when you're in a car, it seems like it's almost flatter, and it's amazing that some of these guys are able to get the car to have grip down there. We've talked to Douglas Newbegin in the past, and I remember him specifically saying he was very excited to race Michigan, and he felt like he could run a line that other drivers couldn't, and we're on board with him right here. Look at that. He's able to paint down to the line, and he's making the positions up. He's not losing the speed coming out of the corner. It's pretty amazing. I mean, he doesn't have the drafting help right here, so you're going to see maybe if he pulls back up here and gets someone in line there before anyone else is behind him. But, I mean, it's just so hard to pass on that inside, but he's one of the drivers definitely able to make it. You see he's got the grip down here. He's visually lower, so he gets a little loose there, Sam, coming out of the corner.
Yeah. The big thing, as we're right on board with the 7, is the fact that he is getting looser and looser, getting closer to the apex of the corner every time he runs down there. He's using up a lot of these tires at the moment. As also, we got to move out as trouble for the 06 of Tom Bourne, as he is sliding into the grass on the entry of turn 1. He's fallen all the way down to 33rd position. Trouble for that 06 that we saw at one moment running so well, trying to crack into the top 20, and instead finds himself being pushed down into the grass. It looked to be a late move of contact between the 06 and the 56. As we'll see here, you're going to see Richard Wolsifer drop down, body slams Tom Bourne, and Tom Bourne goes for a ride. Keeps it away from going back into the field, but because of the bumps down on the apron, drifts it into the grass, and from battling just outside of the top 20, put him back in 34th position. Troublesome spot for Tom Bourne, as we now go back to live coverage, because the battle for the lead is on. Steven Stimpy and Larry Yingling, the duel we were seeing coming to the end of the stage, it is now now commenced. The 88 showed signs of almost taking the lead, but he's going to go for another dive bomb slide job move, and it's giving an opening for the rest of the field to catch up as Stympian, not able to make the move completely, almost makes contact off the exit of turn 4.
And that's going to break their momentum big time. Is anyone behind going to get a run? Look at this. These drivers are all on top of one another. You could throw a blanket over this top field. As you see the John Forbes machine, the 11, he's got a great run to the outside. He's might get up there and be in second position now alongside the 88 going into the corner.
We're seeing ourselves lucky ducks. There's 3 of them up there. Who can find the better assistance? The inside seems to be where the teammates are better in line, but it's our top 13 all within a second and a half of one another, and Larry Yingling defends for that attempt for the lead. We'll see for these next couple of laps to see what Stympian is trying to mount back all that momentum, positioning, and cut down on this gap. The 88 seems to be setting up for maybe next lap or the lap after to go for another attempt for the lead, but battling for third place, we hop on board with Brian B. Johnson, and he's seen the crossing over of the drivers from Lucky Ducks. They're making some big, bold moves, trying to put themselves in line to utilize the bump drafting on the straightaways.
Drafting, very important. Just having someone to go with you if you pull out the pass. We talked about the 7, Douglas Newbigin, before being on the inside trying to make those moves. Just was never able to
yellow
clear.
flag is out. And it's going to be the 17 of Chris Stitz bringing out a yellow flag after contact between the 17 and the 46 off the exit of turn 4. Set Stitz for a ride through the grass.
This will definitely change strategy, as this should put everyone comfortably into a one-stop race, but I know they're going to come in and get those 4 tires now. They'll be using that second set of tires right now on this pit stop.
And going to be seeing Trent Young already dealing with the slight damage on, you can see the scrub marks as he's been dealing on his right side, but this is going to be slight contact off the exit of turn number 4. Great view here, just contact off the exit when you're at your lightest. Then Chris Stitz trying to avoid pit road because he'll get a speeding penalty, then tries to get back on track, hits the bump, which then sends him for a little bit of a slide. Then this is the incredible move, drifts, stays off the wall, but when he comes back across the line, his rear end crosses into the race with Aaron Smith II drift driving on by, brings out the yellow, but doesn't touch a single wall and doesn't get a penalty. Stitz still in this race.
In this race, that's the most important thing. Able to keep it clean, still has a chance. Got to finish this race on the lead lap to have a chance, and he's going to still have a chance to do that. You're going to see all these guys, they'll come in right now. We're expecting 4 tires. Don't think anyone's going to gamble with 2 at this point in this race, but who knows? I want 4 tires if I'm Larry Yingling and everyone else.
It's expected to be a 4 tires in fuel stop, and for us, we're going to take a quick stop as well, as we will take our first commercial break of the evening for this field. Currently, it's Larry Yingling leading the way as they enter pit road, but for us, we're going to be a little bit less than 40 laps into this, a little bit more than 40 laps into this race. I want to say thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday night to give you coverage of the WSSR Cup Series. Race number 5 at Michigan. It's been a good one so far. Only 2 cautions of on-track incidences. How many more will we find out? We'll find out and see, as we'll be back right after this for more great racing action. And we are back to green flag action. Didn't miss a thing, and it's all Larry Yingling up front, but he's got a flock of drivers behind him. It's the trio of Lucky Duck Racing, Drew Jua, Douglas Newbiggie, and Edward Shore Jr. waiting behind as they're having their own mini flying V, trying to push forward. A couple of other drivers struggling deeper in the field. Trent Jump gets pushed down to the apron, but for this field here tonight, had a couple of on-track incidences, but could this be a changing point? Because it looks like, based off these drivers, the way they're racing right now, Justin, this might turn into more of a sprint of you trying to use up as much as your tires now as before you enter pit road for the final time of the night.
Yeah, with their 60 to go, I guess maybe they're thinking 30 and 30, one-stop race, get in there 30 laps, and then go from 70 to 100. But, I mean, Sam, that's if it stays green. You think it's going to stay green with the way these drivers have had so much aggression?
I mean, you might have to be aggressive, place yourself in a position that you're out of the danger zone. We've seen the middle of the field be the most headache-filled spot of the night. You want to get inside the top 15, but other drivers, they've been making it a lot more difficult for some, as Joshua Kanata, one of those drivers at one moment was battling inside of our top 10. He's fallen back to 15th position, and he's battling with Vincent Sora. We're getting a huge push from Ryan Kelly. Kelly, the driver that won this race last season, that 3 machine hasn't shown any strength, but that's just showing the difference from the Gen 4 car to tonight, driving the Gen 7 next-gen machine. There's a lot of changes going on with Joshua Kanata, one of the fun drivers we get to watch here tonight. One of the few, we got a handful of them using a VR headset, and right now you're seeing Kanata looking around, trying to find his turning points, and able to have the visibility to react if there's anyone having troubles around him. Oh no, in trouble in front of him! He's got to duck down, and everyone around, and you get to see Kanata's wheelmanship trying to hold steady through the grass. And they'll keep it strong, but they're still wrecking. The big one just continues to get bigger and bigger.
Cedric Hunter, you talked about him needing to stay in the top 25 in points. I saw him sitting sideways. Not sure if he had damage, Sam. I saw a bunch of cars, though. It looked like a big type of Daytona-type accident.
And Vincent Sora and a few others seem to be where the catalyst might have taken it back. Actually, Vincent Sora is one of the drivers trying to avoid that giant wreck. As Zach Hall, Ollie Fonseca, it looked to be Tom Sinchek in the 26, just was trying to avoid a slow Nick Crawford and pinched into a 3 wide that went wrong.
Yeah, we're going to see right here. Definitely on a restart, though.
Yeah.
They're all bunched up.
They're getting ready for getting ready for a wreck, but you're going to see Nick Crawford backing down and off the exit of the corner. 26 trying to avoid it, comes back up, smashes into the field, and then let carnage reign. All the drivers trying to get through. And Vincent Sora would have gotten through, but he got piled by Ryan Kelly. Other drivers trying to slow down and just piling in. None of these drivers able to slow up in time. They're going over 180 miles per hour, and for some, the brake was not a necessary tool to want to be used. And now going to be seeing over about 8 to 12 drivers forced into pit road. Currently, it's Bronson Stafford, Ken Campbell with the required damage still sitting getting repairs. As you get to see Larry Art's production machine get slammed into the outside of the wall and then go for a ride and see the smoke behind.
Oh no, you see the 15, Ken Campbell, my pick, could not survive that accident. Looked like he has some damage to the front end. So many guys caught up in this. You see a bumper there laying right there in the infield. Not what these drivers wanted to have happen here before we even got to halfway. A lot of them now gonna have heavy damage.
You can see they're sitting in pit roads, Tom Sinchek and a couple of others still sitting in pit road getting service done. Tom Sinchek still sitting in pit road. Same for Ollie Fonseca, Vincent Sora, Bronson Stafford, Zach Hall, Trenton Jump, as well as Ken Campbell, Matthew Rodriguez, Tom Bourne getting repairs done that were involved in that wreck. That is 27th down to 34th position that were forced into pit road to get some type of damage repair done. A few drivers topping off with fuel, that being Nick Crawford, Matt Meir, and Tyler Dengler. So they're going to be going with an off-ball strategy for themselves, but the rest of the field deciding not to pit. And this timing of this wreck, horrific timing, because this was not the space that I think some of these drivers wanted to get that final pit stop of the night.
No, definitely. But let's talk about what these drivers who did top off. Maybe their idea is I can go maybe 5 or 6 more laps on fuel than these other guys. And if they're expecting those guys to split it and pit at lap 70, maybe these guys can go to 80 now just with these caution flags. And then maybe they might catch some guys a lap down, or you know what, Sam, they might be thinking if I can go 7, 8 more laps, they're going to come back in and put tires back on because they're going to have 7 or 8 laps on them. And then they might be the leader with 4 fresh tires. And it's a strategy play. I mean, you never know. It can happen. And if it does, it could be the winning call for someone who's right now in the back of the pack.
As we get an update for the reason why we were supposed to have 40 drivers take the green, just got the update now of seeing it. Jared Hughes missing out, was not able to race here tonight, had an emergency that he had to step away. We hope for the best for Jared when he comes back to racing next week, as next week these drivers, it doesn't get any easier. Pack racing continues on as we head to Daytona Super Speedway. You get to see the pack racing next week. Got to see a little bit of a glimpse of the teamwork at Atlanta for the start of the season. But next week, do not want to miss that great racing action. But up front, with some of the passes, some of the moves, Drew Jua going to be in that second place position. Larry Yingling ready to take us to the green on the inside row. Thank you so much for joining with us on your Wednesday night. The WSSR Cup Series is back to green flag action. Larry Yingling takes the green, but watch out once again. It's Lucky Ducks 2, 3, 4 ready to go after this 67 machine down into turn number 1.
Big 7 got that great restart though, able to get in front of everyone. Look at Doug Snubig back to the inside. He's going to try and get around these drivers now while he's got the fresh tires. Doesn't want to risk getting too loose, but just does not have that help coming down that outside lane. Everyone getting by him. It's a 77 now. Look at this inside move. Going to get around him maybe. Going off into turn 3. He's got help down there to 71. He's going to be down there pushing him coming out of the straightaway. If he's able to stay with him, this might be a drag race to the finish line. You're going to both have drafting help.
It's going to be 3 wide for a quick moment, but in line, it's the teammates of Lucky Ducks to the inside. Gavin Rogers trying to help out the 3-time champ of Larry Yingling, and Yingling keeping a nose ahead. But will Drew Jua really be willing to send it? And both drivers staying away from that yellow line. And it's going to give the better run to Larry Yingling, but the bump draft from Edward Sherwood Jr. a little bit early and gets actually Drew squirrely there. The advantage to the outside with the bump draft from Gavin Rogers. Our top 5, 6 drivers all on top of one another. And you're seeing the advantages and disadvantages of the different lanes that you're deciding to take through the exit of the corner and the amount of speed you can build up on the straightaways. As we're seeing Edward Sherwood Jr. right now trying to assist Drew Jua to take the lead position, but they just cannot find a way to get by the Ying driver of Larry Yingling.
No, Larry Yingling doing what he needs to do. It looks like he's trying to give help to both drivers for drafting, so that maybe this way, trying to keep them side by side, make them use their tires up a little bit there. Smart plan. The 67, he's a great, smart, talented driver. That's why you're seeing him up front right now. These guys can't get around him, but they're trying. And that 7 machine, he's still down there to the bottom. He hasn't left that bottom all race long.
No, and we're seeing drivers willing to use the middle. Drew Jua, that seems to be his favorite spot. But Douglas Newbigin, one of the few drivers that really is enjoying that yellow line through the corners, as we're seeing the outside lane mounting up a little bit more of a stronger run for themselves, as also seeing the 11 of John Forbes poking his nose underneath the 28 of Brian P. Johnson, and John Forbes, a couple of others. We're seeing the field close in. The front 6 were putting on such a close action between one another. They got to back off, cool off these tires, and it's enabled the rest of the field to close in the gap.
You see how quick the whole field does close right in. I mean, we've had some of these guys, they were battling for 2nd or 3rd spot. Now they drop back to like 4th, 5th, 6th, kind of stuck there on that inside. That outside line's got that run going, able to keep the cars wound up a little bit more down the straightaways. But the most important thing is that's where all the cars migrate to, so they got more draft help up there.
As we now see Edward Sherwood Jr.'s camera, he's moved down to try to work with Douglas Newbigin on the inside row, but Douglas breaks loose. He's going to lose a lot of time for the 7. He's almost fallen outside of the top 10 for Newbigin. Edward Sherwood Jr., he has to move high, but almost gets tapped by Brian McCann into the corner. These drivers recognizing we have to defend the outside on the straightaways. They're getting too big of a run. You got to try to utilize a bump draft if you have a chance to get up there. But this 71, just not a lot of spacing to work with, but he's taking every advantage he can. But battle for the lead is back underway. Gavin Rogers, winner from last week at Long Beach. He wants a chance to win at an oval. He felt like he could have won back at Martinsville and Legacy, Texas when he got the pole at those tracks as well. But here tonight, didn't grab the pole, but maybe that's exactly where he needs to place himself to have the best chance to win here tonight. Inside of Larry Yingling, still hasn't completed the pass, but this is one of the better chances we've seen in a while for this lead position. He's almost fully clear, trying to go with the slide job move. Pass for the lead is made, but here comes the run. Crossover move from Yingling.
Lean gonna drive down to the inside, get alongside him. He's got help behind him too. But the big problem's gonna be, is he gonna be able to hold the inside coming into turn one? That's gonna be the big thing. He's gonna have to be able to get in front of the 75 here, and it looks like he's gonna do it, Sam. Is he gonna slide up in front of him though on the exit?
Trying to find the spacing and will just finally clear in front of Gavin Rogers. Rogers will take a lap lead. But Yingling back to the front, and exactly the pass and the move that maybe Gavin Rogers needed to take in and learn for later on in this race. We hop on board with Brian Johnson as he runs in third place. Johnson, winner of this inaugural race back in season 2, the first time that they ran here at Michigan. He wants to get into that top spot. And again, talking about past drivers that have won this race, every single driver that has won this race, they led the most laps, and that's exactly what Yingling's trying to do as Johnson gets a little bit wiggly, and he's got a little bit of a backed up traffic behind him. You can't get too loose as it gives an opening for Sherwood Jr. to move up. But Shane Tarian, the 9 machine, now going to be side by side with Drew Jua, and Shane Tarian has been moving up very efficiently, quietly, every position he can. And he's avoided a couple of scary moments, but the 9 is willing to make some big slide job moves to try to take these positions away.
That's what you got to do. You got to not run the inside multiple laps and kill the tires. If you're going to make the move and pull to the inside, you got to get in there, do the slide job, get in front of that driver, and get back to that outside line for that draft. As you see right here, the 9 and the 11 so close to each other, getting through that corner. And that's the problem. Is the 9 going to be able to get by him now? As you see, the 11 tucked up there behind the 77, less air going on that front of the car, and you just see the momentum pulls the 11 forward.
Pulling the 11 forward, also seeing Douglas Newbig into a little bit of a heads-up move, and the 9 blocking off, doing what we call aero blocking, just putting a slight nose in front of the 7. You also saw a huge wiggle from the 88 of going to be Steven Stimpy, and Stimp holds on for the 88 machine. Big wiggle off the exit of turn 4. And Justin, we saw this going to the end of the stage. A lot of drivers getting loose after 20 laps into a run. You said that was a window to watch out for. We're starting to see a lot of drivers, the handling starting to fade here off the exit of these corners.
Oh, we're in that window, but the window we're also in is where that 88 machine coming to the stage at lap 20. We thought he was going to take the lead from Larry Yingling. He was all over him. Larry Yingling, we talked to him during the stage break. He was concerned that the 88 maybe had more speed on the long run. But right now, you're not seeing that out of Steven Stimpy, and so not sure exactly what happened with him, that he's back there in 10th position, but just not able to make the moves forward. We thought he was going to be someone that was definitely going to challenge the 67.
Ryan Kelly, who got a little bit of contact entering our last caution, the big one. A lot of drivers involved that looked to be quick in the middle of the field. The 3 has been able to recover, and this is looking like a Brian Kelly type of a race where maybe he didn't qualify well, but I think back to his rookie season, Kelly would sometimes be very sneaky as Shane Tarian up front makes a diving move, trying to force it 3 wide and go for a pass up inside of our top 5. But Ryan Kelly, that rookie season, maybe didn't qualify well, but he would march his way forward, and every pit stop he would get faster and faster until he was into the top 5 and threatening for a win. Speaking about threatening, the 9 of Shane Tarian, I know he can be quick here at Michigan. He's trying to make some big, bold moves, and he's around some aggressive drivers. We've seen Drew Jua willing to make some bold moves, and the leaders pass cars that are exiting out of pit road. It is still Larry Yingling leading the charge. In front of them, they do have a lap car that they might have to worry about this Trenton jump in the next lap to 3 laps. We'll have to worry about the 46, but for now, it's all Larry Yingling and Edward Shore Jr. at the moment.
But that 71 machine, he was our pole sitter. Remember, never led the first lap. Got shuffled back early. Look at this, driven back up to second position, Trying to get under to 67 though, going to turn 1. Is he going to be able to get this lap led? He's going to drive it off into that corner. To 67 is going to try and side draft him.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Drew Jua getting squeezed. They're going to be cycling back to 3 wide. The 77 makes a bold move, and it backfires quickly, losing over 4 positions in a blink of an eye. Battle for the lead is still between Edward Sherwood Jr. and Larry Yingling. Seeing some other dive bomb moves, it's Douglas Newbigging. He backed off, protected those tires, and now he's right back to painting that yellow line. And Edward Sherwood Jr. from the pole getting loose. He's back to the point, but for how long? As we're going to be seeing Larry Yingling once again. Crossover move, doesn't want to give up this position. Trent jump, stays on the apron. Classy move from the lap car, but Yingling does not want this lead position to go away. They continue to fight side by side, but Edward Sherwood Jr. is in the better position. The tires were protected, and the 71 is back to the point.
And the 67, he's going to want to try and get up here really quick as he does, so he does not lose any more positions. Wanted to get right in front, but look at that little bump draft there, and he's going to 75 is going to pull alongside the 67 also and try and get around him. Right now, Larry Yingling, he's got to deal with not having clean air anymore. He's going to have a different handling car. He's going to figure it out quick, though. Able to protect second position for this lap. But lap 60, we're going to probably start seeing that window open shortly here, maybe the next 7 laps where drivers might go in and get those fresh tires.
Acting like a ghost and moving on by. Douglas Newbigging is stuck to the inside of the 75 machine that we're right on board with, as the 7 now slots him way almost in the 3rd position. In this field, again, it is almost like an accordion. It stretches out, then it comes back together when we're seeing that change in guard of who's got the better tires to work with and better positioning. And you can see here of John Forbes runs in 8th currently, but will he have himself in a position to try to make these passes possible, as the 3 of Ryan of Kelly's trying to make some bold moves. You also see Brian McCann getting into the picture here. These are some of the drivers that were battling for inside of the top 20, now in a position to battle just to get inside of our top 10.
It just shows how many cars in this field are just so strong. But I tell you, a car that's strong is Mr. Yellow Line. I know right now we're on board with Brian McCann back here in the, looks like he's in the 12th position, I believe. But up front, that Douglas Newbigging, he's ripping the bottom and he's really making it work down there. I wasn't sure how he was going to be able to make it work, but he was able to drive on by these guys, and he actually was able to take the lead on that last lap.
Able to make the lead, and also other drivers to watch out for are going to be the 9 machine of Shane Terry, but Brad McCann trying to make the outside lane work. I think he's trying to find someone that's going to be helpful or a lane that will move forward if possible. But Douglas Newbigging back to the point up front, and it has been seeing Edward Sherwood Jr., Douglas Newbigging switching from the Gen 4 over to this next-gen vehicle. It has breathed new life into these drivers that at one moments were shining beacons of, well, they have the potential to be fast back in the Gen 4 of the last 2 seasons, to now they are threats to win almost every oval race we've gone to, as now going to be seeing Shane Terry, a driver that feels like this is his redeeming season. Felt like he should have taken the Season 8 championship, but Benjamin Nelson had the miracle run in the final 5 laps to save the extra fuel. The 9, he wants to lock himself into the playoffs and have another chance at a championship. As we ride on board with Steven Stimpian, we were talking about Steven Stimpian back in 10th position, looking loose, looking out of control, trouble. Stim is looking strong in that 1st and 2nd group.
Oh, when he goes back to watch film, he's going to say, wow, the announcers, they were worried about me at lap 55 while I was back in 10th and falling back. And then all of a sudden he just turned it on. He drove down to the inside. Looked like he had a tremendous amount of grip. Was able to get to the inside of some cars, pick off a couple positions. And now all of a sudden he's right there on the 67th bumper trying to pass the leader who was leading about 5-10 laps ago when we were talking. So Stimpian definitely has that long run speed, just doesn't have the track position yet. If he gets it, watch out for him.
He certainly is going to be someone that we got to watch out for. Ryan Kelly as well. Gimp can be a driver that's trying to sneak his way forward. One driver, though, that it seems like the long run is just not his friend, and it hasn't been so since, I think, back to Texas. Drew Jua has fallen outside of the top 10. He is now back in 12th position. Drivers that are taking those spots away, it's going to be Steven Stimpian. It's Brian McCann, and surprisingly making his move forward, Danny Cochran, qualified 24th. He's up 11 positions, and just seeing the sights of potentially being a driver that could go for a chance to finish inside of our top 10 here this evening. It has been a fight. You are taking every spot possible, but we are now in that awkward zone. Justin pit stops could be calling for the field here in the next 10 to 8 laps.
It definitely could be. I mean, we're probably close to that window right now with under 35 to go, that someone could stretch it and maybe go in right now and take that full fuel, 4 tires, and go the whole distance. But the problem is you're still going to not be out there with max help of the draft. So I'm not sure if tires will make a difference with what you're going to be losing with the draft out there. But what I'm thinking about is some of those guys who topped off there, they might be able to get to lap 75, 80, and they can go a lot longer. Will they do any strategy? Maybe go and take 2 tires, 8 gallons of gas, get out fast, save 6, 7, 8 seconds on the tire stop, and maybe will they do anything different? So that could be something to keep an eye on.
Well, those drivers you were talking about that topped off on fuel to watch out for, going to be drivers outside of our top 20. 22nd position, Matt Muir is the first driver running who topped off on fuel. Then also a driver that topped off was Nick Crawford in 24th. And then also Tyler Dangler, who we were just looking at in this SpongeBob scheme for himself, trying to find a way to stretch the fuel out. Zach Hall, who was part of the big one that took out a lot of drivers, squeezing that 3-wide move that Tom Sinchek kind of moved up and forced the 3-wide wreck. And you see also the rest of the field just kind of sputtering to stay in a spot on the lead lap and banking on a yellow. But as the field continues to race on up front, it is Douglas Newbigging, Shane Terrian getting very close to one another. Talking about pit stops, though, driver having troubles. It looks to be Richard Wolsifer in the 56. He'll bring out the yellow flag with the spin on the back stretch, and this could be the caution that gives us our last pit stop of the night.
Oh, they're definitely going to go and get 4 tires. Definitely want those 4 tires. And if anything else happens with the yellow later on, the guys will be going in using that last set of tires. But you're going to see right here what happened to him. Expecting it to be...
It's going to be on the back stretch. It's going to be off the exit of turn 2, snapping loose. And it just was a chase this car as much as you could type of a moment. And, you know, these type of wrecks, so tough to decide what you're going to do. It snaps loose. Green flag's still out. So also see Matt Muir having troubles. Green flag is still out even at this moment. It's actually not going to be until this slide here at this moment when he cranks it back at this locking point. That's when the caution was thrown. A bizarre, Michigan's the only track that I could think of where if you're sliding on the back stretch and you're on the apron at that spot, it's going to throw a yellow.
Yeah, one of those things in the iRacing matrix. Usually you don't see the yellow for single flag or single car incidents, but definitely right there it caught one. But that changes a little bit of strategy here. These guys are all coming in, though. Like we said, everyone's going to be wanting 4 tires. Most important, do not slide through that pit box.
We've seen drivers lose major positions and gain some major positions, but Douglas Newbigging going to be one of those drivers deep in the field. He did not qualify well for the 7 machine, so when he gets rolling, you might have a few drivers that are exiting out and also trying to still get into their box. The 7 starts rolling. Also going to be seeing a few other drivers trying to take off, but could anyone steal the top spot from Douglas Newbigging from pit road? Larry Yingling's going to be trying to take off. Shane Terrian, a major loss of time for the 9 machine. It is going to be 3 positions lost for Shane Terrian there. He was in 2nd place at the time of that yellow, and he will fall from 2nd down to 5th.
Wow, not what he wants to see, but that 7 machine got it done. He's going to be able to line up on the front row. Very important to him. We know he has obviously tremendous speed on that long run. We're going to find out what he's able to do on the short run. Will that inside line work for him, or will the guys on the outside gang up on him and utilize that draft on the straightaways? It'll be a really great restart, seeing what happens with those guys, but most importantly, they're going to want to be talking to those drivers behind them, hoping that they can give them a good push on these restarts.
So far, 3 drivers have called it a night, as it was Mike Tellier after hard collision early in this race. Anthony Gaudio also major troubles during the big first couple of wrecks, as 29 called it a night. And then recently, Ryan Ferraro was having some, it looked like, connection mechanical errors that forced him to call it a night as well. As we're under pacing, though, gives us the time to say thank you to our amazing sponsor that helps out here for the WSSR Cup Series. They've been our trophy provider since season 4, and that is Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack is your one place to go to find yourself a championship belt, ring, trophy, and more. If you're looking for pre-made or if you would like to customize it for your own liking, TrophySmack.com is your one-stop shop to go. As well, if you are looking to get yourself a metal plate of your own custom image to be placed up for some of the drivers here in the WSSR Cup Series, they've got race wins of a wall smack. You pick your image, Trophy Smack will put it on a metal plate that you're able to put on a magnet-saving mount onto your wall if you'd like, or you can purchase a stand to put on your desk or shelf. Go on over to TrophySmack.com, and if you're getting a belt, ring, trophy, or a wall smack, remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack for 10% off. Thank you so much to Trophy Smack for being the trophies provider, again, since Season 4 to now Season 9. As Gavin Rogers will be your lead driver, Douglas Newbigging will be on the inside. Newbigging will be your lead driver. Gavin Rogers on the outside. We get ready to go green here tonight. We are expecting that if we stay green, we won't need to pit again. But that's going to be the big question. Can we stay green for less than 30 laps? Because with this hard racing we've seen drivers willing to use up their tires. Who's going to be protecting? Who's willing to push? It's time to find out as the Michigan 200 for race number 5 of the season is underway. We're green with going to be 29 laps to go as the 7 of Newbigging is gone. And where's his teammates? They're mired back in the likes of 6th, 7th, and 8th position. The 7 is on his own now.
7's on his own. They're going to fan out 2 wide. I don't see any 3 wide yet coming out of the corner. But I tell you what, is that orange car going to be aggressive to get back up to the front to number 9, Shane Therian. He wants those positions back. He thought he maybe could ran down to 7 if that caution didn't come out. He's going to work hard though. He lost 4 positions in the pit stops cycle. Not what he wants to do, but you see he's on that inside. Looks like he might be up to 3rd coming out of this. Yep, look at that, Sam. Up to 3rd already. He's on the move.
He's on the move, but same for the lead. Gavin Rogers finds the momentum on the outside, and the 75 will have the nose ahead down into turn number 1. Douglas Newbigging goes back to where he's been all race long, painting that yellow line, while the 75 is hoping to stay side by side. The run off the corner is going to go to Gavin Rogers. Shane Therian bounces high, defends, pushes back the 7, and let the conveyor belt begin as Gavin Rogers, he tries to defend the inside row as he'll get both sides a little bit of draft help on the straightaway. But Shane Therian, watch out for this run. That 9's going to look for a dive bomb move into turn number 1.
Yeah, and you saw the puff, the exhaust, the backfire when he lifted there, right? Crossing that wake of the 75, getting into turn 3. So right now going into turn 1, he's probably going to try and make sure he's not crossing that wake. So he has all that air going on the front car. He's got a tremendous fast car. Let's look at that. Aaron Smith, the 70 machine. He was one of those drivers that we saw sliding through the infield earlier in one of the incidents. Kind of was back in the pack throughout this race, but he's avoided the accidents. We know he's fast, and he's slowly getting back up to this here now with under 30 laps to go.
Still has a lot of work to get done if he wants to crack into the top 10. Again, runs 14th, kind of boxed in the middle as drivers up front. Top 3 going to be single file, still trying to pick and choose where they want to go. Also in front, you can see it's going to be Lucky Duck driver of Edward Sherwood Jr., Drew Jua. They're stuck low side middle, and it's the outside row just making some moves and passes to get by this field for themselves. It's now Danny Cochran going to be that outside driver. They just continue to try to make the outside lane work, and it is for now, but later on in this race, those tires are not going to be feeling comfortable for themselves as Danny Cochran moves by Drew Jua, Edward Sherwood Jr. And it looks like we're seeing that change up of plans. If you weren't able to crack into the top 3, you're backing off. You're giving up those spaces to get your tires cooled off and have the advantage later on.
You want that advantage definitely for later on, but look at that up front. You see it on the bottom of the screen. The 9's going to pull to the inside of the 75, try and get that lead. They're going to go side by side off into this corner. Douglas Newbigging behind him, not able to hold the lead on that restart. He's going to try and work back on that inside line. You're going to have them running 3 different distinct lines, and the 9 going to come out of the lead though still. And you're going to see right here the 7 not have that draft help. Is he going to fall back to 4th?
As we're going to be having your Season 1 champion of the WSSR, Brian P. Johnson. He's been searching for another championship, and he might be wanting a win to try to solidify himself as the most winningest driver in this series. It's been the back and forth between the 28 and the 15 of it. I mean, the 51 of Vincent Sora. But here tonight, Shane Tarian leads this race. A great working job to get to where he's at right now. And we're seeing drivers that were willing to work through traffic get up front. Your top 4 drivers are drivers that have had to advance forward. The biggest mover, going to be Douglas Newbigin, up 23 positions from where he started. That 7 had an incredible run to get him where he's at. But the middle of the field, it is still a cluster of where is the best place to run at this moment, because it doesn't look to be safe anywhere at this time.
No, we've seen that all night. We actually at one point saw them 3 and 4 wide leaving the pit on that first pit at the end of the stage. I mean, these guys are aggressive. They want every spot. There's not really too much give and take amongst all 39 drivers out there. As the field is actually trimmed down a little bit with some drivers exiting, but still so many cars out there that it's just absolutely amazing the effort these drivers all put into this league. I mean, in the first 50 laps, we thought Larry Yingling was walking away with this race. It seemed like no one could get around him. And now you see him falling back into the clutches of like 10th, 12th position back there to 88. He was also fast. He's right there alongside him. Seemed like those two are not getting separated at all from each other tonight. But it's just amazing showing how the field is so strong that drivers are just everywhere.
And you might be wondering, how did Larry Yingling and Steven Stibbian fall this far back? They are mired in 16th and 17th position. Well, they were falling back. They used up their tires so much. At the end of that run, they'd actually fallen outside of the top 10, and they have been just struggling to find pace at this moment. You look at other drivers, though, this is the battle for 19th, 20th position. Falling back down to 22nd is Brad Delph, but in front of him, driver that spun out and actually brought out the yellow. Didn't mean to. Richard Wolsifer, he's up to 20th. Also seeing Zach Hall putting the pressure on this 6 machine. It has been an all-day effort to repair the 32, and he is now still trying to muscle his way to get a decent finish here tonight. They'll have to slot in line, and it's majority of the drivers that were caught up in the big one that are right on top of one another here outside of the top 20.
Well, the advantage of definitely using the cautions to get your damage fixed helps you in a long race like tonight. I mean, we still have 20 laps to go, so if you didn't get any damage fixed, you might have a chance if we get some cautions here, but if not, you got to try and stay in that draft and utilize that ability to try and block the wind so that if you do have a little bit of damage, you can try and hide it. Definitely don't want to have damage here though and pull out. The second you pull out, all of a sudden your car might be slowing down when it has that damage.
As Brian McCann in the 8 machine runs 5th, he's seen in front of him currently it's the 11 of John Forbes, as well as Ryan Johnson, Gavin Rogers, Shane Tarian. Your top 5 currently with McCann in 5th. And up front, all pretty much staying in line behind this 8 machine. There's a little bit of movement happening with Drew Jua, Edward Sherwood Jr. trying to make some moves to get back in the fight. Same for Douglas Newbigin. This might be finally the go time. Green lights out. 20 laps to go here tonight. Going to be 19 when they cross the line. But did you wait too long or did you not wait long enough? It's going to be the true question here this evening. And another driver I want to give note and credit to, Nick Crawford. At one moment, Nick was staying all the way back in 24th position with the oddball fuel strategy call of trying to take a late pit stop, just top off with fuel only. Now back into the mix, and just inside of our top 10 is that 74 machine.
I got to give a huge shout out to the machine right in front of the 74 to 13. We saw him sitting sideways at one point, one of the cautions. We were worried maybe he would have some damage, fall outside that top 25, and did not do it. Was able to keep the car under control. Look at this big slide. Is he going to save it?
Oh no, I am so sorry to the field. Commentator's curse. It's Nick Crawford, and he gets slapped by Chris Stitz across the field, and yellow flag is out. Oh, Nick, I am so sorry. I know he's clipping this one for sure. We praise him, and then he gets whacked with the commentator's curse.
And you see another driver there sitting right at the line. I mean, did he just get loose and then couldn't save it, it looked like?
And that other driver that got contact is going to be Chris Stitz, who, after we see this spin, I mean, it's just simple. Trying to stay off of Drew Jua, snaps loose, overcorrects back into the field, and then the 17, nowhere to go. Clip, bang, lose that front clip and bumper, and Stitz is going to be sending himself into pit road with required damage for himself, and somehow Nick Crawford doesn't have required damage.
I mean, he definitely has damage that he's going to want to get fixed, that's for sure. Let's see right here, look like we're getting a different angle at it.
We're gonna run out more Stitz here, get his shot that he just clips into that 74. See, also Kanata getting loose, and he's trapped 3 wide. There's nowhere for Stitz to go. He's just praying for an opening, and it just never opened up. And loses the front bumper and clip, and for Stitz, another week of being a victim, and now going to be sent into pit row. The 17 just cannot catch a break this season. It was hit by his teammate back at Texas, and then he was caught up in another, I believe, teammate wreck at Martinsville, and then it was not a fun day at Long Beach for the 17. But this is strategy time. 17 laps to go, and for some drivers, this could be your final time to use your last set of tires. They were given 4 sets to work with, and it looks like this is the call. Pit road. But who takes 2 tires? Who takes 4? Justin, this is the gamble a lot of drivers are setting up for.
Yeah, I think some people might take the 2 tires. I mean, they've done updates on iRacing. I've heard of some people saying at Charlotte, in other races I've heard that Charlotte 2 tires worked. So it could work here. I mean, look at these guys are definitely coming out of the pits earlier. So look at that. That car has some damage right there in the front row. So that will be interesting. But I think some of these guys may be on different tires. We're going to find out as soon as you get that update.
Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine will take 2 tires. A perfect stop for Brian P. Johnson. I think he only took 4 tires and about a half a tank of fuel. A gallon and a half. I mean, a tank and a half. What these drivers can put in, because he only got a 13.7 second time. That's a full second faster than some of the other drivers. But Shane Terrian, biggest loser, enters pit road first. He'll fall down to 6th position for the 9.
Not ideal. Don't want to lose these positions this late into the run. I mean, there's time to get up there, but you're really going to have to get a really good restart. The restart is going to be important to determine who potentially wins this race. You do not want to lose any spots and be going backwards with only 15 laps to go. I mean, it's a big track, but the laps definitely, they click away pretty fast at this track.
And for our top 2, they're going to be our front 2 for this restart. Joshua Kanata, Tom Sinchek, both did not pit. This is our first kind of sense of what it's like to be on old tires. And for Tom Sinchek, he is also dealing with damage on the 26 machine. And we also saw in that replay, Joshua Kanata was snapping loose off the exit of the corner. These tires are going to be miserable for the front row, and I'm going to be kind of shocked if that outside row gets going with Tom Sinchek, the worrisome of how much damage does the 26 have. Going to be starting on the outside.
Yeah, that'll be hard, especially if you end up getting the lead and you're pushing that air. If you have any damage, they've done the model here. Well, you used to be able to kind of get into the wall with these cars, and you didn't get that 15 seconds of optional damage repair, but now it seems like even slight contact, you're starting to get a little bit more of the optional. Shows up a little faster, I've started to notice. So damage definitely on these cars are starting to be a little bit more realistic than maybe what it was previously. They got that damage model figured out. So we're going to find out what happens to the 16 very shortly.
Front row going to be Joshua Kanata and Tom Sinchek. Old tires. Last time they were in pit road was 17 laps ago. Then the 3 machine, Ryan Kelly, he'll start on the inside, row number 2. The 3 taking 2 tires for himself. Everyone else behind took 4 tires and fuel. And with 14 laps to go on, we take this restart. Anyone has a chance still to win this race if you're inside of the top 20. Here we go, into the restart zone. Will it be calamity, or can we keep it together? Green flag is out, inside tries to go. Ryan Kelly misshifts for the 3, not able to take off was Tom Sinchek. Joshua Kanata feels good for the 16, but for how long? Because we're already sneaking back and forth, trying to go 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Brian Johnson going to drive to the inside, going to clear the 26 machine. He's going to have his eyes set, though, on the 16 of Joshua Kanata. As they're going to come out of the corner 2 or 3 wide, it looks like mass chaos. They look like they're 2-3 wide for 3 or 4 or 5 rows here.
Shane Terrian started in 6th. He might be the leader after a lap and a half. Take a full lap in 3/4. The 9 He didn't restart up front, but he'll body slam the 16. Gets wiggled. Johnson through the middle. Kelly follows in suit. What a move. And Brian P. Johnson will lead that lap. Shane Tarrant with that wiggle and tap loses all his momentum. And from the lead, now trapped 3 wide, mixed and mingled, almost outside of the top 10. They're 4, almost thinking about 5 wide in the middle of this pack. This is the drama that you're scared of. Can these drivers keep it together? No, they won't. Sacek into Forbes, into others, and it is gridlock powering through the rest of the field. And let us have another big one here tonight.
Rujua, I saw right there, 71, our pole sitter. Ed Jr., not how he wants to have this race in. Had such a strong night going. Definitely got damaged there. As you see right here, to 26, big time damage, missing that front bumper.
And it's going to be Carl Pooler, John Force required damage. We'll be adding with Bronson Stafford, Chris Stitz, and James Kunkel. And there was no surprise. We knew it was going to be dramatic. This is how the restart went down on some of these big moves that happened, but it was going to be the lap after this. The drivers really got into one another, and you see Drew Jua and others trying to make some moves to get in and moving forward, but the older tires of Tom Sinjak and the damage, the 26, was just a wounded animal back here, just falling back further and further.
Yeah, the older tires, damage. I think the 3 had a little bit of damage in the front nose, it looked like, too. I mean, these guys a little bit wounded out there in the different tires. Kind of had the field stacked up. The inside road didn't get going. So cars were everywhere to begin with. And just kind of coming out of this corner, you're going to see it happen right here, I think.
It's going to be off the backstretch.
Okay, yeah, we still have a half a lap to go. But you see it right there to 9, his wiggle all the time he lost. That helped stack up this field, too. It keeps him 3 wide going into this corner.
There's no spacing to work with, and they're just going to be squeezed up into one another. As you're going to see on the outside, breaking loose is Tom Sinjak into the field, and let chaos reign as everyone tries to sneak their way through. And just for some that were able to slam on the brakes, they found openings. Others were not. Carl Pooler somehow sneaks his way past all that. You also see going all the way down onto the apron is Vincent Sora. As some drivers try to find a way through the middle. Others did not. Carl Pooler ultimately did not find an opening for the 58 as he slammed into someone.
I was going to say,
thought he was good.
If we got on board with Carl Pooler, was that blue car where kind of the seas parted at one point?
Yeah, it parted for a second and then ran into Shane Wyatt. Just did not work out perfectly.
Oh, here we go.
For the 58, right on board with Carl Pooler, which Carl has already called it a night. Calling it a night here is Carl Pooler, Shane Wyatt, the 88 of Steven Stimpian. All have already called an early exit after this caution. And here's a ride along with the 58 of Carl Pooler, where he thought he lucked out. He sees the smoke, looking for an opening, somehow sneaks by, but then the last driver, that is not the case. And for Carl, I think his issue is he slammed on the brakes. If he just yanked that steering wheel to the left, he would have been fine, but because he hit the brake, he had zero control where that car was going, and it pulled him right into Shane Wyatt.
Well, that and the racing gods got even with them. They were like, we parted the seas for you, and just kidding. We're going to now have a guy come flying off the wall in front of you. That's how racing goes. You think you save it, and then before you know it, a damaged car comes off the wall, and unfortunately for him, gave us a nice replay, but not what we wanted to see for him.
Was not the case, and getting only a couple laps of green flag racing, maybe the advantage some drivers were looking for, as this is a caution that now allows a few drivers to use their final set of tires into pit road. Those drivers being Joshua Kanata, Tom Bourne, able to come into pit road and use their final set of tires here tonight. They'll be starting back in 18th and 19th position. They're just going to be having a small little advantage, though, because we're able to get 2 laps of green flag racing there. So not a huge difference, but it might be big enough to work with how massive this track is.
Oh, this track is massive. I mean, we've seen all night these drivers definitely do 3, 4 wide. I mean, are we going to see 5 wide with 10 to go? Are they going to get that aggressive? They probably will. Wouldn't be surprised. Every position is going to matter. You want all those spots, but this restart's going to be chaotic.
Certainly expecting chaos to reign, as also Tom Sinchak was able to come into pit road and get service for themselves. I want to say again, thank you to everyone that's watching with us here tonight on your Wednesday evening, watching the WSSR Cup Series. This is only race 5 of the season. We got plenty of other great racing action throughout the rest of the season. Don't want to miss next week, though, as WSSR heads to Daytona, as we'll see some super speedway side-by-side action for 100 laps. Don't want to miss it. Then in 2 weeks, we stay in Daytona, as we have the doubleheader of road course racing, a 20-lap and a 10-lap shootout. Don't want to miss any of the next racing action for the next few weeks. But up front, Brian P. Johnson, Ryan Kelly. Johnson, 4 tires and fuel the last time they entered pit road. Kelly, the only driver to take 2 tires. The 3 is looking to be on the back foot, but the rest of the field ready to go as they roar down into turn number 1.
Well, that they do. And that 7 machine, he's not on the inside just yet. He had to start on that outside. Is he going to be able to make that inside line work? Is the 9 going to be able to get back up there? Not sure, but all I know is Brian P. Johnson, driver who's been in that top 5 all night, he's got to get up there, and he's leading that race. And Brian McCann, he wants to as well. As the 7 now is going to dive down to the inside. Is he going to be able to make a stick?
If we look at all the past statistics, it says the driver that led the most laps is most likely going to win, and that means keep your eyes out for the driver that's in 9th place of Larry Yingling. But those that are inside of the top 10, it's Brian P. Johnson, Brian McCann, drivers that have been just outside of the top 5 all night long, trying to find an opening to sneak their way forward. But Shane Terrian has been the dominant driver for these final 25 laps. It has been just the 9 getting up front. He's been kind of a wizard on the fact that he's just been finding openings to make each slide job work that he attempts. Everyone else behind, though, it's been also seeing the strength of Gavin Rogers at moments. We've also seen Douglas Newbiggin be quick. But again, watch out for that bright red 67 machine of Larry Yingling. Looks like he is now on the go to try to sneak his way forward. 8, soon to be 7 laps to go as we cross the line. Terrian is back to the lead position.
What an impressive move. I mean, he went in 3rd position and came out the leader. That was just incredible what he did right there. That could be the race-winning move if these guys can't get back by him. I mean, right now, he's got them how they want them behind him, stacked up 2 by 2, 3 wide coming out of the corner. Looks like Gavin Roger maybe got into 2nd position there. Yep, he cleared Brian P. Johnson, so Johnson goes from 1st back to 3rd now with 7 to go.
And it's Douglas Newbiggin, and he finally gets to that yellow line, really sending it down below. They're going to be a squeeze 3 wide for a quick moment. Cedric Hunter able to find an opening through, but no, Douglas Newbiggin, contact, spins, more drivers spinning behind. Oh, a ricochet into the water barrels as drivers absolutely destroyed. Newbiggin, Richard Wolsifer, yellow flag is out, and that is going to be around the window of we could be sending ourselves into overtime.
Wow, Douglas Newbiggin, I mean, he was making a move, and then before he knew it, he's in the water barrel. Big contact, that's definitely required damage. His night's done for sure. Can't see him getting that car back out there. I mean, wow.
And there were 2 separate spins happening at the same time. But first, we're going to see the driver that got absolutely clobbered into the water barrels. As you're going to see the hard racing, Douglas just continues to let that car drift up, makes contact with Brian McCann, and then say hello to the water barrels there. That's a race sender for the 7. And then directly behind him, Richard Wolsifer and Nick Crawford. They'll find contact up the exit of 4. And I believe Richard Wolsifer was able to avoid the wall, but it's going to be close. But as you see the 56 trying to hold steady, going to get into that outside wall, and also finished up by Nick Crawford, and they try to stay off that barrel, and they do somehow.
Wow, they almost hit the barrels too. Had 3 drivers in the barrels. Hey, we're right on board here with Nick Crawford. Give us a great view of exactly what happened. We're going to drive it down to the inside. You see the 56 right there to the outside of him. It starts to slide up the track, and that kind of just gets there in the wall. And maybe did he check up when he saw the 7? Maybe he checked
I
up
think
a little
so.
bit.
It was like a double reaction of he was trying to make the pass and might have gotten distracted by the 7 spinning and just was gassed it up a little bit too much, trying to let off, and makes contact with Richard Wolsifer. And luckily for both those drivers, it was just simple contact between the 2, and they'll keep it together. But for Douglas Newbiggin, who ultimately clobbered the water barrels, his race is done. He has left the server, and that's another top contender out of this race. It dwindles us down to now it's going to be Shane Terrian, Gavin Rogers, Brian P. Johnson, your top 3, Ryan Kelly in 4th, Cedric Hunter. At some moment, like we noted on before, he was in the grass spinning, caught up in one of our first big ones of the night, the 13, currently in 5th place. Brian McCann going to find himself in 6th. Larry Yingling, again, main driver to watch out for, in 7th. Biggest surprise, though, Matt Meir talked about how maybe a top 20, top 25 finish would be a good run for the 72 machine. Why not a top 10? Maybe even a top 5 if we see these top drivers get a little bit too racy. Meir currently in 8th place. 9th is Drew Jua. And the driver you've been talking about all night long, Justin, the 70 machine of Aaron Smith II, started with an EOL. He started all the way back in last place for tonight's race. He is currently in 10th position for this upcoming restart.
Yeah, he had the EOL like you mentioned. He had to spin early and drop back. He was like 19 seconds behind before the stage. Then we saw him about 3 cautions ago on the back straightaway. It looked like he got a little bit of damage and was sliding. Didn't make any contact though. That was the most important thing. But it just seems like he's had not the race he wants. But that makes you wonder if he gets up there. Does he have the speed? If he just has a chance to get up there in that top 5 and have the little bit of clean air, can he make moves in these final laps? I mean, we're not going to have many to go, but all you got to do is get a good restart and you'll be right up there in the thick of things.
We've had 74 green flag laps, 8 cautions in total, and for some people they might say that's a lot of cautions. We've had a lot here tonight with 100 laps expected to be ran, and yes, it is a lot of cautions, but Michigan's one of those weird toss-up tracks. You're either gonna get a fully green flag run from most of the race and then maybe 1 or 2 cautions, or you're gonna get a race like tonight where it feels like every 5 laps the drivers are just so on top of one another they can't get away, and a caution is almost bound to happen every 5 to 10 laps.
Oh, every 5 to 10 laps. Right now we don't have 5 to 10 laps. I mean, if they get to the white flag, that would end it. So they just got to come around and get 1 lap completed, and this race could be it. So you got to make your moves. I mean, you can't wait to that start of the final lap. You got to already be in position. You got to be leading this race, because if that caution comes out and you cross the line, you're going home the winner.
Well, here tonight we are entering an inside the regulation green white checkered. If we find ourselves getting a caution on this first lap when we go back to green flag racing, the race will, if we get the white flag, the race is official. It's all about who crosses the line first. If we get a yellow flag though on this first lap, we head into overtime. We have 3 attempts if needed, and the field knows if we go into overtime, it is going to get crazy. Shane Terrian, though, on the inside, going to be on the freshest. It's going to be on 4 tires and fuel, and our lead driver, Gavin Rogers, trying to go back-to-back, and a few other drivers hoping to get in the victory lane for the first time this season. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, on your Wednesday night. It's the WSSR Cup Series inside the regulation green, white, checkered. The Michigan 200 for race number 5 of the season is back underway. Shane Terrian going to be the lead driver for the 9. He gets a good launch for himself, but do you want too big of a launch? The draft has been so helpful on the back stretch, but here we go, Justin, down into turn number 1. It's Shane Terrian for now, but Brian P. Johnson's trying to find an opening.
And Terrian seeing what he wants to see behind these drivers side by side, so hopefully one of them cannot get a run. That's what he's thinking. But these guys behind, they want the run. The 75 has that run. Looks like he has a big run coming down the straightaway. What's he going to do? The 9's going to pull to the inside, protect the inside. The 75 is going to get to his outside quarter panel potentially. Maybe that's what he wants coming out of this corner. Is he going to be able to hang there? Does not look like it coming out of the corner.
Coming out of the corner, and Gavin Rogers going to be poking it side by side, brushing the walls, though. It's going to be Terrian. It's all Gavin Rogers, and they're going to be crossing the line. White flag is out. This race is official. It's Brian P. Johnson. Gavin Rogers going to be your front 2. Shane Terrian will fall back to 3rd place. Also now fighting back for 5th. Ryan Kelly took 2 tires. The 3's not out of this fight just yet, but it looks to be all Gavin Rogers. Brian has to make a daring move. Terrian going to be having some troubles back in 3rd. Rogers blocks, defends. He goes all the way down to the apron. It gives us so much time. They're going to be side by side down into turn number 3. Will it be Rogers? Brian P. Johnson's looking for the momentum. The crossover move that gave Rogers the lead. Will it protect him here? Gavin Rogers blocks down to the apron. Rogers back-to-back winner from Long Beach to Michigan. It's the 75 winning tonight.
And he got the oval win that you mentioned about at the top of the show. He was wanting that oval win tonight. He gets that oval win, and this is a challenging oval track. He drove a great race tonight, was always up there, had great speed, gets that win, did all those moves. Can't wait to talk to him about that move on the back straightaway, how he felt about going all the way down there, seeing what his thoughts was. It worked out perfectly for him. He did what he needed to do. Great job. Number 75 with the win.
Gavin Rogers Again, coming into this season as a rookie, the questions were looming of where would we see Rogers? Would he be a driver fighting every week for a win? And with going back-to-back at the road course, having the 3 in a row poles the last 3 weeks, he's proven this 75 is fighting for a championship. Back-to-back winner. Gavin Rogers is going to enjoy this one as we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, the 75 of Gavin Rogers, Brian P. Johnson, Shane Tarian, and also a spotlight driver. We'll be back right after this. With one another as side-by-side racing continues on. Christopher Norris has been able to move up 3 spots for himself. Dakota Moniz, another driver in the 5 that's moved up 3 spots. And for Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, this race is so critical because the driver he's runs, Christopher Norris, in all offense incoming contact into the outside wall. Everyone's got to get around. Norris locks it down, but the second pack is rolling in. It looks to be almost contact, and it is. Major one for the second pack. The admins have to throw the yellow, and that will be your first caution of the day.
Oh man, Sam, that was a huge collision. I don't know who caught, hit Norris in that second pack, but it all started up there with Christopher Norris and Ali Fonseca. It looks like coming off of 2, making some contact. I don't know if it was Netco actually. So I think when we go back and look at this, we'll see that as they come off the exit of 2 here. It's just going to be a gap between them. Puts Norris up in the wall, and then from off the wall, here comes the 38 down off of it into the 24, who's going to slam that wall off the right front of his truck, and then Norris is locking it down, sliding across. It looks like that was the 14 Arizari and Tyler Dangler.
Tyler Dangler, who was tied in points for the cutoff line. That major damage is going to be critical for himself. Required damage for Tyler Dangler, and that one incident wreck on lap 17 could be the ends and hopes of Tyler Dangler trying to make the playoffs.
That is so heartbreaking for Tyler, who's had a season of ups and downs and some bright spots. You see right here for GT.
He is already a car length and a half ahead of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora.
Great start there for John Forbes, but I think down the back straightaway, he's going to find out real quick how strong this draft is here, as the 2 is going to have a massive head of steam here heading down into 3 and 4. What's he going to do with it? He looks to the inside, but the 11 shuts the door. Now the 15 of Vincent Sora, teammate of Danny Cochran's going to look to the outside of the 2.
Trying to bounce to the outside, not able to do so just yet. Going to have to settle back in line. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for race number 5, the Michigan 200. What a race. Had to finish this race. It was inside of regulation, but it had to be a green, white, checkered last dash to the end. Thought maybe it was going to be Shane Tarian. Could have been Brian P. Johnson. Slight mistakes by both, but the driver that capitalizes. We go to victory lane to talk to the 75 machine from Next Level Motorsports of Gavin Rogers. Gavin, back-to-back winner. You win at the road course. You finally get your oval win. How are you feeling about this one? Because that was a spectacular pass to place yourself into the lead position there late.
Oh my gosh, Sam. I really have no idea what to say. I am so pumped right now. It's just the adrenaline is crazy. I was really worrying about just winning road courses this season. I was because that's happened to me before. I've struggled on the ovals for a while, but to pull the oval win off and to get back to back is insane. Especially with the break next week, I'm going to be out of town, unfortunately. So hopefully I won't lose too many points from that. But my goodness, I'm just so pumped. I was able to keep it up front all race. I was worried about falling back there for a little bit, trying to save tires, but luckily I was able to gain some of those spots back under the under the pit stops, and man, just so hyped right now.
Hey, Gavin, Justin up here. Congratulations on that win. Like you said, got to make you feel good that you won't be here next week. Get that win, get those points. Definitely it makes it easier when you're away next week. Tell us about the last lap coming down that back straightaway. Saw you go all the way down to the inside line. Obviously, you're just trying to break the draft there, but did you get a little nervous when maybe that car on the outside was there, right there with you?
Oh yeah, I knew he had a good run there off of 2, so the only way I knew I could kind of hold him back for a little bit before he got to my door was just go all the way down so we didn't get any little bit of draft there, and just get him to where he was barely on my door there, and I was able to hold the bottom, which I felt really good in the very, very bottom lane in 3 and 4 on a fresh set of tires. It glides through there so nicely, so I knew I could send it in deep, clear him, pull up, try not to hit the wall, and luckily we were able to keep it straight and hold him off.
I mean, Gavin, we saw a lot of wrecks in the middle of the field of drivers trying to make some big slide job moves. What was it like trying to make those passes? Because it seemed like it was such a gamble every time you had to go for those slide job passes.
It was for sure, especially early in the race when the track was really slick. I was terrified, to be honest. I was just trying to take it easy on my tires, and it just got so loose on the long run. And I was trying to figure out what to do, whether or not to shift or not. And there were so many guys doing different things. And once I thought I kind of figured it out, then we got a bunch of cautions, and we didn't really get many long runs after that. But yeah, the slide jobs were crazy. I was just trying to keep it up top the best I can the whole time, because I've gotten freight trained on the bottom in all kinds of races at Michigan, whether you're in Gen 6 or really anything. You're always in a pack, and you never want to be the car on the bottom. And luckily, I was able to stay up top and keep my car up front.
Well, Gavin, congratulations again on this win. Now tying Vincent Sora as the most winningest driver so far this season with two. Congratulations. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Absolutely. Want to shout out the cars on the sponsors on the car tonight. We got Sundance Pizza, Idealis, and Butt Kicker. Shout out to those guys. They've done wonders for me to help me racing. And also want to shout out all my family watching. Forgot to shout them out last week, but want to get that in there for tonight. Also want to shout out all the admins for putting this together. Such a great league, such a competitive league. It's so unbelievable to have 2 wins already. In a league like this. And I also want to shout out you guys for doing such an amazing broadcast.
Well, Gavin, looking at the points, I think where you're at, you are tied second so far in points. And I think even if you miss next week, you're still going to be instead of the top 16. Congratulations on this win, back-to-back winner. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Sam.
That's going to be the 75 machine of Gavin Rogers, your back-to-back winner. Going to be enjoying this one as we now head to second place. Thought maybe you could have found the run off the exit of the corner, but it just wasn't there. We've got second place finisher in the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. Brian, second place, but man, what a run you had here tonight. How are you feeling after that performance this evening?
Very relieved. The racing this week was pretty crazy, as we all expected it to be. We knew that it was going to be, everybody on top of each other, you know, pulling slide jobs and stuff. So, I was just happy to finish the race going forward. Um, and finishing where I should have been, which was good. I felt like a top five was where I should have finished, and that's what I got. So that was good. Um, yeah, it's just crazy, crazy racing. You had to time the runs, had to navigate the dirty air correctly, and yeah, I just didn't have a run on him, and going into three or coming out of four, I couldn't really generate much of a run. He ran a pretty perfect last lap and did exactly what he should have done. So, congrats to Gavin getting two in a row. He ran a great race last week, which was good for him, and then to win this week too after all the craziness, all the people dive bombing. It's pretty impressive on his part. But I'm just happy to get a good finish this week.
Brian, Justin up here. Awesome finish for you to get in that second place. Like you said, you definitely deserved being. You were in the top five pretty much the whole night. At one, like towards the 3/4 mark of the race, really is where I felt like your car really came to life. I don't know if the track rubbered up or if you started pushing a little bit harder, but all of a sudden it was like you went from being that fifth, sixth place car to being that first, second, third place car. Just tell us about that, like part of that run. Is that where the car just came to life to you, or is that where you decided mentally you were ready to go?
It was probably a little bit of both. The track was definitely rubbering up some, so I had a bit more grip to use. But it was probably more me deciding like, okay, now's the time to go. We're under 30 laps. It's time to push the issue. Really kind of send it on the outside some and get to people's doors and force them to stay on the inside, which I mean was pretty easy to do with some of these guys tonight. I mean, they were just convinced that sending it in super deep on entry and slowing up the center of the corner a lot and just dive bombing the inside, they were so sure that that was the way to go. And you'd think after 80 laps of doing that, they would have figured out that, oh, maybe that's not what you do, because we're going backwards. But so all of us that decided that that wasn't the best thing to do, we had to deal with them dive bombing our inside all night. But yeah, that about 30 to go. That's when I was like, okay, now it's time to go try to get this lead. And luckily I got some laps led, so that extra point there helps. But yeah, but more of me deciding to go than the track coming to me. I don't think there's a track in the next gen car that ever comes to me anymore.
I mean, Brian, talking about the next gen, I mean, what is it like running in this car again with the competition, with the last couple of seasons, last, you could say 2 seasons, seeing the upgrade of competition that is really mounted up in this league? What is it like running in this new car and dealing with the competition that's around you now?
Um, uh, I like dealing with the competition better than I do dealing with the car. I still have a chronic issue of burning the right front off of this thing. It was like that before we did our couple seasons in the Gen 4 car. And I was hoping that maybe getting away from that car would kind of eliminate any bad habits that I had, and coming back to it, I could kind of relearn some things and learn to save the right front some. But I I haven't been able to do that. So um, I'm having to, like tonight, I'm having to run lines that and run a pace that is going to compensate for my inability to keep the right front under me. Um, so that does mean taking the higher lines. That does mean taking a slower entry than other people. So the this car, there's a lot of, at least in my opinion, a lot of downsides to it when it comes to the dirty air and the side draft and not being able to complete passes on the inside. And there's a lot of other things that go into why that is. It's not really just this car in particular, but one of the good things about this car is that it's pretty tough. Um, so if you do get into the wall a little bit, you're saved a little bit, but also you can drive it a little bit different than other people, and kind of manage your stuff in a different way and achieve a similar result. It's not quite what the Gen 6 car was, as far as being able to drive it to your driving style, but once you figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are in the next gen car, you can kind of um, use that to your advantage and try to try to get on top of the other guys, and use their weaknesses against them later.
Well, Brian, still a second place finish. Incredible for yourself. Enjoy this one. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Gotta first off, shout out you guys for putting on a great show as always, and everybody that tuned in. I'm sure that was a great race to watch. That that had a lot of action in it. And then gotta thank Steve, our race control guy. He's always doing a great job every single week. And thank the admin team for putting on a great season 9 so far. And then all the drivers too. I think we had 40 again tonight, so it's good that we're keeping those numbers up every week. We've had some massive fields this season, and it's good to see. And I think that'll carry over into next week too when we're at Daytona. That's a track that everybody loves to show up to. Um, and thank Trophy Smack for being with us again, and supporting us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that will be your second place finisher, Brian P. Johnson. Congratulations on second, Brian, and good luck next week at Daytona.
Thank you, sir.
As we move on from second position, we move to third with a driver that might have a different feeling on how this race ended for himself. We have third place finisher of Shane Terrian with us. Shane, I know this is kind of heartbreaking for yourself. How that final restart was up front, was not able to finish this race up front. What's your thoughts on tonight's race, though, as a whole?
Uh, it was good. I made a rare mistake. Uh, as you've broadcasted or commentated from a lot of my races. That's rare. It's a rare mistake from me tonight. Man, the race was good. I didn't even know we were shifting till like I don't know 30 laps into the race. Um, and then I started shifting and I drove through the field and I was like, okay, I got something. This is this is working. And Man, it felt really, really good to come to an actual racetrack this so far on the schedule and then be as fast as I was, like on both short and long. I don't think I was bad in any shape or form tonight. And that just feels nice. It's been a while since I've had that.
Shane, Justin up here. Congrats on being able to finish third. Like you said, I know you had that little hiccup there, and as you said, we see so many of your races and you're always fast and always racing, having such good races that we don't ever expect a little hiccup there like that. But like you said, it just cost you that little bit. But tell us about when you figured out. You mentioned about the shifting. So do you think maybe you were saving the tires by being in that fifth gear and not going down in the fourth, and then all of a sudden when you went down in the fourth, it really helped you? Did it teach you what to do later on in the race, or did you start shifting the whole time from the drop of the green flag after you figured it out?
Um, I was running the bottom, saving tires in the fifth gear. So it's just getting steamrolled. I could hear people shifting. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna be better for the tires or not. And then towards I think like just like right after the stage, I started shifting after like 10 laps, and I was still running the bottom, and I was just moving. The bottom was I could save tires better compared to my teammates. I was like 3-4% better wear on all my tires running the bottom. So yeah, I figured that out. Then as the race went on, I realized I could drive in a lot harder, and the car would stick. So it's yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have a car change throughout the race like that.
I mean, Shane, you brought it up on the fact that having a run like this has got to be feeling good for yourself, especially with entering tonight. You were right around that bubble zone with yourself and Bronson Stafford. What does this make you feel moving forward, knowing that we're now kind of heading back to Daytona Super Speedway, where we're going to be dealing with Super Speedway racing, and then road course before we're back to more traditional racing?
I was kind of hoping I'd win tonight because you don't know what can happen at a super speedway, and then I'm just awful at road courses. So I'm gonna have to go into next week and do what I do best with my teammates and just try and control the field if we can get to the front, or if we can get together and try and gap from the field and try and figure something out. It's gonna take some practice, but definitely definitely can't afford a bad race next week with a road course coming up.
Well, we're hoping for the best for yourself and your team, Shane. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout out.
Yeah, shout out, Sky Motorsports guys. I know Bronson got destroyed, but he spotted for me the rest of that whole race. Tom and then Matt Muir, who got what, the hard charger, right, our biggest movers, and then obviously he paints the cars. And you guys for broadcasting. I'm gonna go back and watch some of those races, and I want to see my third to first slide job. I need to see what that looked like.
It was a wild one. It was crazy to watch, that's for sure. Well, that is going to be your third place finisher here tonight of Shane Sarian. Enjoy it, Shane, and good luck next week at Daytona.
Thank you.
As we move from third place, we go down to ninth place. Going to be our biggest mover of the night from where he
Paso this
qualified.
weekend?
We have Matt Meir. Matt, sorry for pulling you away from that conversation, but Matt, you get yourself a top 10 finish here tonight at Michigan. Were you expecting that finish? Because it kind of surprised me on how well you were there late getting this ninth place finish here tonight.
Let me tell you what happened tonight, and it's the same thing that happened at Texas. I was garbage for 3/4 of the race, and then I missed a few wrecks, and it just fell in my lap. So no, I was not expecting it in the slightest.
Matt, well, congratulations on your ninth place finish. I mean, you might not be expecting it, but we talked about you a little bit throughout the broadcast here, and every time we seem to be mentioning you, were slowly moving your way forward, and your car looks beautiful out there. So, I mean, just tell us how it feels to get that top 10. I mean, it, would you have expected anything else if maybe the accidents went different ways? I mean, were driving a really clean race. Anytime we saw you, were making the moves that you needed to.
Thanks. And like that's kind of the one thing I've had going for me. I try to stay out of trouble. Part of that's because like I don't quite feel comfortable enough in these cars to really like go at it and make those aggressive moves that do kind of blow up in your face sometimes. Uh, I mean, I did feel like I was getting better throughout the night, but like especially the guys who run up in like the top 10 every week, like I didn't have anything for them at that pace. It was really just lucking into it.
Well, luck or not, that is going to be your second top 10 of the season, Matt. And now we're heading into a super speedway where we know that your team is very strong at trying to finish up front. What is your confidence level heading into Daytona next week?
Kind of gonna depend on the minute you ask me. And on one hand, like that's the kind of racing in these cars that probably suits my style the best, so I'm really looking forward to it. But it's also where everything can go wrong just in the blink of an eye, even more so than other weeks. Like Atlanta, in terms of how I drove, was probably my strongest race this season, but I got fenced halfway through and finished in like the 30s. So, it can go either way.
It certainly can. Well, Matt, congratulations on a ninth place finish and becoming the biggest mover of the night from where you qualified. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Uh, just got a shout out to the Sky Motorsports and the Hula Monkey guys. Like we all work well together. I'm really excited for that next week. I know the Hula Monkey side of things, they've been having some rough luck recently, but like I think the speed is there, and especially you look at what Shane did tonight. It's like both teams can be really strong. I think we just need the luck to go our way, and so excited to keep working with those guys and try and get everyone to playoffs.
Well, that will be your ninth place finisher here tonight of Matt Meir. Congratulations, Matt, on this finish, and good luck next week for yourself and the team.
Thanks.
As we move away from our interviews here tonight, again, incredible racing we got to see, and it all happened inside of our regulated 100 laps. Didn't need overtime, but we got a spectacular dash to the end of a green-white checkered. Gavin Rogers will take the victory as we get prepared to take a look at our unofficial results here tonight. Certainly a wild night, but a back-to-back winner for the second time this season. It was first Vincent Sora, who's got 2 wins this season. Now it's Gavin Rogers with 2 wins. Rogers, though, going to be missing out on next week's race, so he's going to be very appreciative on the fact that he got this win. Behind him is going to be Brian P. Johnson, Shane Tarian, and then in fourth, you saw the damage while we were talking to some of these drivers. Ryan Kelly, huge front end damage, again, caught up in some of those big ones as well. One of our highest runners that were caught up in big wrecks. Brian McCann stayed quiet for most of the night, but he was up front inside of our top 10. He'll finish in 5th. Larry Yangling was up front from dominating the first half of this race, but he'll fall shy in 6th. 7th, Cedric Hunter, another recovery run for a driver for the 13. Drew Jua 8th. 9th, Matt Meir, who we talked about, biggest mover of the drivers from where they qualified, and Zach Hall. I don't know how he got there, but Hall comes away with the top 10 finish for the 32. And also want to give a shout out to that of Andrew Medlin in 11th, and also big talking point for you, Justin, Aaron Smith II. He had the EOL, and he'll finish in 12th.
Yeah, great drive for him. Josh Okanada, 13th position there. He had the 2-tire stop and was able to get back in there to 13th. Christopher Wade, 14th. Danny Cochran, 15th. I mean, look at that. Nick Crawford, 17th. Not to skip over Tyler Dengler in 16th, but just that name just jumped out at me. We saw the accident when we were on board with him. I mean, he was able to get back there and at least salvage the top 20. So many accidents tonight with drivers dropping out of the race. I mean, if you're able to continue and get your damage repaired, you had a chance to still get maybe back in that top 20 and salvage some points. But now we're getting into that list of drivers that definitely had the issue. You see John Forbes right there. We saw the accident with him. Vincent Sora earlier had some trouble, had some more incidents throughout the race. Ollie Fonseca, Douglas Newbigging. I mean, he's probably going back watching that replay, just hating that because he thinks he might have had a car that could do it. My pick, Ken Campbell, 33rd. Just so many drivers right here that had the problems, didn't get the racing that they wanted to tonight.
Yeah, I mean, 40 drivers were attempting to take the green. Only 39 were able to. Jared Hughes, again, had to make an emergency pullout after qualifying, and we hope for the best for that 68 machine to see him back out on track next week. Next week's going to be a fun one. We're hearing that we're expecting to have some drivers might be showing up, and Justin, next week, if everyone shows up that signed up for the league that are expected to run super speedway races, we may have some knockout qualifying next week. Saw the excitement back at the first race of the season at Atlanta. Could happen here at Daytona next week. Don't want to miss out for it, but man, it's been a fun race, fun season so far. 5 races are in the books, only 3 different winners, but we still have a lot of competition that has been great to watch. Well, for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, this is the last week that we're going to be having 3 races being covered. Reasoning why? Tomorrow night, it's the season finale of the Doghouse Cup Series. They're going to be off for 7 weeks after tomorrow night. So if you want to see some open setup, next-gen racing at Charlotte, who's going to take the crown? Will it be Kevin Thompson, or will it be Thompson's teammate of Andrew St. Cour? There's got to be a lot of help for that 12 machine to get the championship tomorrow night, but you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a good one for the Doghouse Cup Series. Also, next Monday will be the last race of the season for the ISRC Truck Series, as they're coming to the end of their season 6. Will it be one of the past champions becoming the first 2-time champion of the league history? Or could we see the Justin Campbell continue the trend of a new champion being crowned every single season? Don't want to miss out on any of it. Again, Tuesday night, if you want to get covered, message us on X or on Facebook. And then we'll be back here next Wednesday night for Daytona Racing action. Justin, any final thoughts before we call it a night here on Wednesday?
I just circle back to what the driver of the 72 machine said, Matt Muir. I mean, it's about getting there to the end of the race. He got 9th place, was able to stay clean, stay away from the accidents. He did a great job of predicting trouble in front of him and navigating around it. And we talked about it at the very top of the show, 100 laps. You got to be there at the end to have a chance to win the race. And he put himself in a position to be in the top 10. And that's what all these drivers are looking back right now that didn't get the finishes they want. They're just saying, you know what? I could have maybe finished 5th or 10th, but I pushed it too much and ended up in pit road with damage.
And next week, pushing it a little bit too far, could be an ender as well. We're heading to more super speedway action. You saw the chaos at the start of the season at Atlanta. Well, expect a lot more bigger wrecks, a lot more side-by-side. Daytona, you don't want to miss it next week. But for tonight, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us throughout tonight's incredible race of Michigan for race number 5 of the WSSR Cup Series. But from us here up in the booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Justin Malarkey, as well as Robert Moyer Jr., thank you so much for joining with us. And for everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, I want to say thank you so much for joining with us on our Wednesday night. Cannot wait to see more racing action tomorrow, as well as on Monday for our season finales of the Doghouse Cup Series and the ISRC Truck Series. Don't want to miss out on either one of those before we're right back here next week. Thank you again for giving us the pleasure of watching our incredible broadcast. If you enjoyed our broadcast, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button after you hit the subscribe button, so you're notified when we go live with any broadcast. So far, it's been a great year of giving coverage of all these amazing leagues. It's crazy to think that some of them are coming to an end. But we cannot wait to give you more coverage and further on in the year for Thursday nights and a Monday. But for us here on Wednesday, thank you for joining with us. We'll see you next Wednesday for Daytona. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series season finale. Who takes the championship? You'll have to find out on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.